1. Hey everybody, welcome to the Commentator's Curse. We haven't done one in a while. We've been busy. Blur's so lovable. Look at him. He has a studio mic. We're happy to be here. Welcome back. Blur, it was Valentine's Day this week. What'd you do?
I actually had a great Valentine's Day. Me and Lady Blur, we went to like the spa, got a massage. There was like a communal bath, which was like a hot tub, cold tub, sauna, steam room. Got massages, got just the whole works. Did that. Ate some ramen at this bomb ass SF spot. You know, just did a nice thing, and then I took a day off yesterday during actual Valentine's Day and just played video games all day.
What'd you
With
play?
Divinity, Divinity 1. We still haven't started Divinity 2. We're about to finish up Divinity 1. Highly recommend the series. It's a great co-op RPG. We really like co-op RPGs. We played like three, maybe four Tales of games together now, and those are always good. And now we're doing a Western RPG with Divinity, and can't recommend it enough for couples, for brothers, sisters, for anybody, and you got two friends. Um, it's a ton of fun. So that's been consuming my life. I've been having a lot of fun.
Interesting. So, I haven't played an RPG in like forever, and I feel so deprived of playing single player games because we're so busy all the time. Is it on the Nintendo Switch or is it
No,
on?
no. So Divinity 1 I'm playing on PS4. I know Divinity 2 is on PC. Hopefully they come up with a PS4 version soon. I mean, it's not really a big deal. I can connect my PC to my TV and play it that way and do it like that. But my I don't know, like the co-op games are a little easier to play on a big TV. I feel like. So we've
Yeah.
just been playing on the bigger TV. But yeah, we plan on playing Divinity 2 as soon as possible. So yeah, it's on PS4 that we're playing that version. It's just fun. It's a turn-based game, so it doesn't really matter what system or controller or whatever you use to
Hmm.
play it. Yeah,
How long have you and Lady Blur been a thing?
about a year and a half.
Oh
So
wow.
going strong, man. Been great.
Isn't it kind of crazy that like this is technically your second Valentine's Day and you're just kind of like, whoa, like another year has passed. Like I can't believe we're here again. Or does that not hit you yet?
Yeah, I guess time goes by. I'm honestly just really grateful and happy. I can't say she's great. Your boy's happy in terms of personally, professionally. It's pretty nice being me. I have no right to complain about just about anything. I'm happy as a clam, Tafflekins. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Nice. So I know the little secret then. I get you a massage, you play some video games, and you're all rejuvenated.
It's all it takes. I'm
Yeah.
I'm actually super easy to please. You know, I'm not a complicated guy. I love video games. I like massages. I like smoothies, ramen, all these things. Easy. Anyway, let's talk about some Smash Brothers, Taffo.
All
Enough about
right.
my personal
So
life.
there's two different routes we can take this. We can talk about community things, or we can talk about actual gameplay related.
You're reading my mind, Taffokins. Let me tell you this. And can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I want to talk basically nothing about the actual game today. And that sounds so off and wrong because consistently in this show, we talk about how we want to bring it back to the game sometimes, right? Because we always forget it's always about the game, right?
Yeah.
It's about the game. And so much we see on the internet, on the social circles, people are talking about some nonsense, and they're not talking about the game, the storylines of the game, the people, what's happening.
They're talking
Uh,
about practice.
they're talking about practice. You know what? They're talking about oftentimes drama that is, it's detracting from the main spectacle that we're all here for, right?
Yeah.
So why
Okay.
don't I talk about it? And you know why, Tavo?
What? Why?
Because if we're going to talk about it, we're going to have to talk about Genesis, and that was a long time ago,
Okay.
and there
Okay.
hasn't been
Okay.
events since then.
So so so
So
so so
what
so
the
so
heck?
so, so before we kind of put a grave to all this, can we just say one thing? Congrats,
Yeah,
Plop. You
what a
did it.
legend! What a legend!
He did it, and he did it in the most difficult bracket you probably could have asked for him in terms of top eights.
Yeah, dude, he super earned it. It was basically like the storyline run. I told Bobak, who is one of the head Genesis TOs. Um, I was like, dude, if you're gonna have the Mango Armada streak be broken, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm telling you, Genesis as a series is the luckiest series of all time. They just continuously have great top eights. They have great products, you know, just like over and over again. They hit it out of the park out of sheer luck because I mean you can't control the games. But Genesis seems to just be a blessed tournament series. They always have like a major history defining moment happen at their series, and Plub winning is, I feel like to non-Smash fans, it's hard to articulate just how historic that was, because that was such a big deal. That was such a big deal, and so, dude, even the you know one frustration I have is I still hear that line that, oh man, the same 5 people win in melee every year, and I'm like, dude, Plup just won.
It's the same 6 people now.
Yeah, yeah, okay, congrats. Like, you know, you did goalposts. So it's frustrating for me to hear because I'm just like, dude, Plup just, you guys see what's going on with Plup? There is a conceivable world. Now, I don't know if that world will happen. And in fact, I think the odds are stacked against him. There is a conceivable world where Plup is going to be ranked number 1 this year by the end of the year. That's a world that we live in. And it won't be a fluke. It won't be a mistake. It won't be for any other reason other than that guy is extremely good at Super Smash Brothers Melee, and he is that dude. We said it on this show 2 years ago. I believe I said it actually. I'm going to take the credit away from you
I
guys
think we
because
we both agreed on it. We said top 3 like within a
all right, well
year.
I said it first. So so we were on here and I said, you know what? I We're making the call on the commentator's curse. Plop is going to be the best in the world one day.
Um,
And 2 years later, it took longer than we thought it would because honestly, we thought he'd do it. He'd win a major by last year. We called that, right?
yeah.
I'm not sure if DreamHack counts the same way, but you know what? It could potentially, right? So maybe it fit the qualification. But in terms of becoming best in the world, I don't know if that'll happen this year, or it might not even happen next year, frankly. But I think it's gonna happen. That guy, the way he moves, the way he moves is superior to the way they move. Like that is the bottom line.
Yeah.
He is he moves better than they do. Like the kind of optimizations that they are trying to make to their game are so limited compared to the kind of optimizations he has left in his game. Because the way they're playing is so simple, right? Like we talk about Mewtwo King sometimes, and we say, "What is his greatest weakness?" And the truth is that he plays the same way, and he's played the same way for 7 years, right? He's creative in some ways, for sure, absolutely,
Not
but
a
he's got his
chic.
formula. His Sheik is the most uncreative thing ever. Sometimes, you know, he has flashes of brilliance, but for the most part, compared to how creative you have to be good at melee, Mewtwo King breaks it down to what works, right? And that's a beautiful thing. And sometimes the simplicity can be beautiful, but it limits him, right? It
Yeah.
makes it so that he is limited in what he can do and the ways he can explore the game. Klopp, on the other hand, he has more tools at his disposal than like any other player. He's able to do more things and be places faster and cover options that other people just can't. And he can grow his game in ways that other people just can't. Like he's gonna go farther. And people like that's why he can play so many characters. The truth is it's not like the character even matters that much. It's the way he moves that matters.
Yeah.
The way he moves allows him to succeed with every character in the game. It's just different dash speeds and different jump speeds, but it's just the fundamentals of how he's approaching the game is strictly superior to how they're approaching the game. I'm going to be honest. I know that sounds like an absurd, ridiculous statement, but no, he approaches the game better. When they beat him, they're beating him because they're more experienced, they're more seasoned, they're better and more clutch. They are more practiced in what they're doing, and they're playing that particular part of the game that they're adept in better. They're more warmed up, whatever it is. They're doing that part right. Right. But in terms of raw potential, I cannot tell you that those guys have more potential than Plup in terms of where they can take their game.
Yeah.
Right. If you're a coach of Plup, you have 100 different things you can tell him to get better at. Right.
And
If
I
you're a coach of Music King, you're just trying to get across to you're just trying to talk to him and make sure he listens to you in the first place.
I think to add to that, Like imagine like all the years of playing weeklies against Hungrybox and like Samus versus Puff. Like you literally have like a little like blunted like dagger, and like you have to make the most out of like every little thing you can. And I feel like him playing against Samus against like Puff in such a miserable matchup for years, like he found like every little like thing he could do with like basic tools. And I feel like that like really helped him to be the player he is. But I think one thing we have to add to Plup is I think the biggest detriment we saw in like 2016 was like I think when you play these runs and you play these top eights, the most important thing, especially if you get to like the game fives, is like it's like who wants it more and who's not going to relent and give in to like the mental pressure or like the like we talk about mental fortitude, and that was like almost non-existent for Plup last year. Like he lost a lot of game fives, he would tilt, he would give up. But at Genesis, like after that grand final set, like if this was 2016 Plup, we'd be like, okay, it's over. Like there's no chance that Plup can recover from just getting mollywopped in set one. But like he stuck with it, and I think that was like the most important part of Plup's development, at least for the beginning of 2018.
Toph left the venue. After set one of Grand Finals, my good friend Toph, Chris Topher, said, "You know what? I'm gonna go out with my girl. We're gonna go up grab dinner. I can't watch this. I can't watch this." Toph left the venue, straight up. You know? Now, wait, I think he commentated what the first half of it or
He
something.
did. He did. He did.
He commentated the first half of top eight or something, and he straight up left. And what a silly, silly man. Oh ye lacking faith. And I'm gonna be honest with you, he wasn't the only one. We were looking around the venue and I saw a line of people heading out. It was like a basketball game. You know, in basketball games where your team's down like 20, 15, whatever, and some people just want to beat the traffic?
Yeah.
That's what it felt.
Okay. Okay.
There was a
Blair.
contingent of people who thought after set one, this is over. This is a formality. Why are we watching set two? There's no way he can win. No one thought he could win. And I'm going to be honest with you. At the time when I was sitting in that chair, I thought his chance of victory was probably some negative percent. I didn't think Plop could win going to set two. How could you win against Honguraba, super clutch player that is like beats every fox? You're not going to beat him. You know, like sure you want to winners, but how are you going to do it? And he really pulled it out. I couldn't believe it.
What's really funny, it's like you bring up basketball, and I'm trying to think of like what would the equivalent be? Would it be the Rockets Spurs that one time they were down by 13, like
We don't talk about that.
or,
We don't talk about
the
teammate.
the Team X, they went down by 13, but Team X
It
scored
was a
like
regular
13.
season. It wasn't that hurtful.
Okay, okay.
So
So
we
so
appreciated it our own way too.
Okay, so like, what's the equivalent then of like a sports event where like fans left too early? Is it the Derek Fisher? I'm sorry, these are all Spurs examples. I'm trying to think.
Well, I can think of a football one immediately, like the
Okay,
Giants, right, coming back against the Patriots.
yeah, I think
That's
that's
an example. There's plenty, dude. I don't want to think of point four, the Lakers. That's Spurs example.
there was a.
Derek Fisher.
I was trying to think of another one, but the Lakers had home court that game
Oh
and they
my
were
god.
winning. No, no,
Really,
no,
that was just
no. I'm not.
beat
I'm not.
Spurs.
I'm not
Oh my
talking
god.
about that one. I'm talking about the one where the Lakers were up against the Celtics in 2008.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the
That was.
Lakers were the home. They were home court. It would have made sense if like Boston was the home court and they were down by 21.
Oh my gosh. There's been some bad ones. A lot of them include the Spurs. Dude, people don't like to hear this, but Spurs should have like 9 rings. I know we got 5, but we should have like 9. We choked so many important ones away that like I think 20 years down the line we're gonna look at it and be like, we'll never get that chance again. Anyway,
Not
anyway,
bitter.
I'm
Well,
totally better.
well, you know
Um,
what's crazy? The Spurs
mhm.
have more championships than missed playoff appearances.
In our franchise history, that's correct,
Yeah.
and it makes it very difficult to talk to people because we're having a terrible season this year, and we're third in the West, and so like people are like, shut up, stop being so entitled. But it feels terrible as a Spurs fan. We haven't had Kawhi like all year, and it's just been an injury-plagued season where it doesn't feel like we're playing well. We're just like beating bad teams and losing to the good ones, and so yeah, no one really wants to take our worries seriously.
Okay. So, sports analogies aside, Plop one, like it kind of seems like when we look at the very top of melee, like Hungrybox is definitely in contention. Um, Plup, and then I think Leffen has a case for number 3 right now.
maybe, dude. Like here's what's crazy right now, right? Leffen might be third in Melee, but he might be third in Dragon Ball.
No, he's definitely not third in
No,
Dragon
I
Ball.
don't think he is. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no one's having tournaments for that game yet. I think I think what's been crazy about this like extended off season that we've been having is we've had like all these crossovers. Zero playing Melee. Left like Zero is the biggest Melee streamer. Leffen is the biggest Dragon Ball Z streamer. Mango's the biggest like Mario Kart and Mario Party streamer. Like nothing really makes sense in the world, but that's the world we live in. And Taffel is the biggest puzzle fighter streamer. Everything's everything's on its head.
It's like Final Fantasy 3 where like the world ruins and everybody goes to like do their own little thing and you have to recruit them. You have to bring them back, Blur. You have to bring back the party.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, we're gonna have a lot of tournaments coming up in due time. Right
Well,
now, um, we couldn't save February. There was a time where we realized, February is a lost cause. But I think March and on it's gonna get stronger, and May and on it gets freaking crazy. So, everything's going to be shaping up. I know the fans are like super frustrated with like the lack of events right now. Got a lot of messages about it. It's funny how everyone wants an off season until it happens, because then they realize, you know what? Not about
yeah.
it. The not having events part, kind of not about it. Yeah, we're going to be pretty much back in full gear, I'd say, by mid March. Full Bloom is going to really, uh, kick things back up again. It's going to be great.
I'm excited, but we still have like another month until like everything kicks off.
Yeah. We're gonna have a whole lot of nothing in the meantime. A whole lot of nothing.
If any
Makes my job easy.
so I guess this is a call out to top players and people who are watching this. If you want to have a top player or person do an extended interview with me while they have no excuse to create content, let me know and I could do an extended interview with them
Isn't it funny, by the way? These guys are getting paid. These are human beings getting paid.
to do nothing.
They're literally getting paid salaries by their pro teams, but monthly stipends, whatever. And they're going to no events. What a gig, dude! What a gig! Must be nice. Must be. Can you imagine other pro esports if you just told them, "Hey, yeah, there's no events. We're just not gonna We're not gonna do anything for this month. We're just gonna stay at home. It's gonna be nice." Oh, and yeah, last month we just had Genesis, and the month before that we had like nothing. So we're 3 months, one event. Smash Brothers. It's not such a raw deal. You do nothing. It's nice. Being a Smash Pro. People underrate it. Do it every once in a while. Do it. You gotta work hard. CS:GO, you gotta work hard. Smash, go to tournament every once in a while. You'll be all right.
Uh, well, speaking of like other esports, I'm kind of enjoying this alternate universe where you know how like you go like the stars aligned and did everything. I feel like 99 out of 100 stars aligned in the past month, at least for my life. Like everything in Cloud9 aside from Mango, I guess Mango was a sacrifice. Like one, London Spitfire and Overwatch, E League for Cloud9. Our league teams are doing great. The Eagles won. I can accept Plup winning Genesis. It's been a good year for me.
The Eagles aren't owned by Jack. How's
What?
this? Come on, now you're stretching it here, but I got you. I got what you're saying.
The universe is owned by Jack, man.
I guess so. Yeah, but I mean, either way, I think it'll be interesting to see. I think one of the things I'm most interested in is to see. Um, I mean, this could be a scientific moment of, what extended breaks of content do for our viewership. And what extended breaks of content. Uh, obviously, we're not going to come back the same as we were. Like in November or whatever. I think there's going to be a considerable decline because we had a drought of content. But you know, how much? I'm curious to see, and um, I'm really interested to see like whether it'll help Full Bloom a lot, and I think it'll be really interesting to see if like TOs around the country finally get the memo that you can host in these dead months instead of competing for these summer months that you're just not going to get.
Well,
You're not going to
Blur,
get.
but Blur, if you revealed the tournament calendar, ESA wouldn't have conflicted with Full Bloom, and
I mean,
all
obviously.
all the world's problems would be solved in the world of Melee if you just brought in that calendar.
I feel like here's the thing, right? I almost feel like I'm shouting into the darkness because I feel like the people watching this show are educated enough. They've heard me talk enough times that they know, you know, they know the realness, right? But every once in a while, I got to go out there and say it all over again so people understand. Um, the there is no enforcement policy in Smash Brothers for when people stomp on other people. There is no way, like, I can go out there and like pull the cords out of the TVs and say, "Sorry, you can't host that weekend. You can't host this event. We're gonna tear it all down." That doesn't exist.
Okay.
So when people conflict with people on purpose, I can't do anything about it. What I can do is berate them. What I can do is
Hey,
give them
Blur.
social pressure. And what I can't do is frown upon them intensely.
Blur, 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 blur,
That's
blur,
about
blur,
it. Yeah.
blur, 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 blur. You sound like you're gargling.
I'm what? Oh, I sound terrible.
All right. I'm gonna. One sec.
I think it's the Twitch app. We've had this problem.
All right, go back.
Tafo, what's up?
All right, good. I think we just need to soft restart it.
Yo.
Okay. All right. So, Blur. I want I
Tafo,
want
how you doing?
doing well. You can hear me. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
jeez.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yo, what's up?
All right, cool.
I'm probably better. I think, dude, this happened. This has happened on the Twitch app for a while now.
Yeah. And Practical TAS was our witness on this
Last
issue.
time.
Um so Blur,
This might happen every once in a while,
I
guys. Just
I I want I want a something that's clippable where you rant about this issue that if anyone goes like Blur is responsible for a dream hack and Smash and Splash coinciding or
yeah.
this ESA instance, that you have this like Twitch clip that I can send to people and say kablamo. So
Uh,
Blur,
I'm gonna be Tefo. I want in a way I want to rant about it, but I feel like I've done it so
no no
many
no.
times.
Okay, I want a I want a reference clip. I want a reference clip from you.
No, I know you do. I know you do, Tafo. And I don't know if I'll be able to give it to you in a soundbite form because right now we're in our off season. Everyone's chilling. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. My hands aren't deep into this one right now because I feel like for overall the smart people understand. So I'm not really that all bent out of shape about it. Um,
But it only
but
takes one Armada tweet to change the course of everything.
does it? Adam can tweet about all he wants. It's not going to change crap.
Yeah,
He's
but
just going to make his fans mad. That's all
yeah,
that happens.
but everyone trusts Armada because it's Armada. It's like, oh damn, Armada's smart.
Adam is the homie. He is smart. He is very
He's the
smart.
homie, but it
He
only,
is,
you and I know that it takes one Armada tweet to shift the landscape completely 180.
yes, man. I actually disagree with you on that because I feel like Zero put out a video recently that was like, "Is Smash 4 dying?" Right? And Armada puts out a ton of videos on his channel, and I think that's great. They should put out content for Smash Brothers. Don't. It's great. Just
Yeah,
keep doing it. I'm very happy about it. But maybe again, I'm too invested into the scene and all that. But a lot of their content, from what I see, at least from my viewpoint, is kind of stating the issue and telling people what happened and telling people what is going on and then offering next to no opinion about it or what to do about it or what is like any higher level analysis past that, right? And I think maybe that's all right because I feel like the general Smash fan base doesn't want to hear like anything beyond that, and maybe Adam in particular, like or Zero or whatever, they're not into the TOing sphere, they're not into the leadership sphere right now, and so maybe they're not about that. They're just kind of trying to express the emotion and the problem and get it out there. But from my perspective, where I'm just like, all right, I'm trying to learn when I click this video, but what I'm getting is just like the Wikipedia dump. Like I'm not really getting anything. So that's That's where I'm getting there. Where I'm like, I'm not really sure if he's swaying public opinion much one way or the other when he makes his videos, because he seems like he's just saying public opinion, right? Like feels like so many of Adam's videos are just like the top Reddit comment, but in video form. Like I don't know. I can't tell whether that's a mirror or not. Whether it's his opinion becomes the top opinion, or if it's the other way around. But it doesn't seem to ever go past that. So I can't really tell.
Well, I
Um,
mean, it gets views, and I think it's perfect that he's catering to the market really well as a content creator.
No, I mean, look, again, making content for Smash, I'm never gonna hate on it. I'm not hating on it when I'm saying all this. I'm just saying when I click on it, I fully learn nothing. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with you. But that's part of it, right? Like a lot of people don't actually know what's going on, and so
but
when they
that's the thing. I know we know what's going. So maybe it's not for me. Like maybe I'm literally looking at it the wrong way. Adam's not talking to me. He's
okay,
not talking to
so
me.
you know
He's
how
talking.
I interpret Reddit opinion and Armada's videos? I
Yeah.
interpret it as this is like the feel of what the general Smash population thinks about certain things, and then that's how like I go about moving forward. It's okay, like this is what the scene thinks. Okay, I have to cater to that in a certain way. So I don't really.
Yeah, no, I actually think that's a fantastic analysis
Yeah.
because um, so like I actually browse. In a way I'm an redditor. I browse Twitter, I browse Reddit, I all this stuff. I try to read it as much as possible, but I usually don't try to read it um, to like get new ideas or like to understand unique viewpoints. In fact, I mostly go there to understand non-unique viewpoints, which is what are the emotions behind the major pain points that people are feeling, right? Like, do people feel this issue is strong and why do they feel it, right? Like, I care so much more that people think that in Smash 4, for example, that this thing is imbalanced for this reason. This is causing a frustration for them that makes them not want to watch or not want to go to events, or this is the emotion that's key to it. I care a lot less about, therefore this is how we'd like to solve it, because oftentimes I get disappointed when I see the proposed solutions and proposed fixes or what to do with that emotion, right? And that's understandable. Like if if I have a broken arm, I'm going to complain about this broken arm, but I can't fix it because I'm not a doctor, right? So similar, but I'm going to complain about it, and I'm going to
Yeah.
be the patient, right? So I'm mostly seeing the public opinion to see the public opinion, right, and see what is on top of mind about the general public,
Right.
and what the consensus on that on the major issues are right now.
Yeah.
So and in a lot of ways, I think that um, those issues end up getting reflected back onto our top personalities and so on and so forth.
I think what I do, so with the people that are just like consistently get information wrong, like they usually pop up on Reddit. Like I post, like I like have a label on them on my RES. Oh, this guy's a conspiracy theorist, or like how does it like, and I use them as markers for me to say, okay, this person's like on the deep end, but once in a while when something comes up, I want to see what his opinion is because he probably reflects like the bottom 10% of people who actually know stuff, but like the people that are going to assume the worst. So like for example, I have Smash USA 1. I do not know who he is, but he somehow kind of like a quarter knows about what's going on in the back scene, but like the quarter he does know is mixed in with 75% conspiracy theory and blatantly wrong info. But then he reflects like sentiments from like people who are not happy with Smash as like an entity from like the South. So like I have little markers on these people. This guy is a disgruntled fan from Texas. This guy is a happy person from North Carolina. Like, and that's the way
Yeah,
I
no,
view Reddit.
that stuff is super important, and to understand the emotions that those guys are going through and why they feel that way, and also why they could be misinformed. Like, sure, they're misinformed, but how do you fix that, right? And like, what do you have to do? One unfortunate piece of management that I have to get through my head that like over time I've come to accept is that like people's opinion of me in particular and what I do, and therefore like a lot of the initiatives I'm trying to push forward and trying to make happen on a public sphere, like most, the private stuff, no one will know about. So a lot of that stuff, like public opinion on that stuff is almost entirely based on the last time I was on camera. You know what I mean? Like public opinion on me is almost entirely based. It's like a timeline. Like I recently appear on camera. Everyone loves Blur for like a good period of time, and then I don't appear on camera. I don't show people that yes, I'm the Crimson Blur. I love the community. I'm trying to do good work. You know, I'm someone you can trust. Here's the reasoning behind all everything I do. Blah blah blah. You know that when I after I do that, everyone loves me, and then time goes on, and then I do a lot of other things. Don't really explain it to anyone. Don't really like go out there and make a PR push about why I'm doing everything, and don't really like manage, you know, community management as people would do. And so people go and speculate, and then they assume the worst, or they do a whole bunch of other filling in the blank. And then since I'm not managing it, and I'm not doing the PR, and I don't really care. Um, a lot of things get put in my mouth or get put in other people's mouth or whatever, and a lot of assumptions get made, and all of a sudden we're not talking about the same facts anymore, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the misinformation ends up happening, is because people end up taking and running with it, right? When the PR isn't on point, and when the messaging isn't on point, and when you're not always on top of it. And the frustrating thing is, I know on a personal basis, is sometimes it just feels like a waste of time. And so I don't want this little cycle, especially in my time on the internet, has gone faster and faster. So like people veer off on the like
Um,
the facts. It feels like quicker than ever before. Like within like a few days or a week, they're already like in a whole different sphere, and you can't even have a conversation with them. And then you go on camera again, explain yourself and whatever, and they're back in the fold, right? Like and everything's all
yeah.
right again.
I
So it's like
think
a constant process.
I think the issue I have, like I mentioned this because there's a thread on Reddit trying to like throw an olive branch to top players in Twitter, and I'm just like, I kind of explain why I don't really post that much anymore. It's because like if we justify ourselves and we bring in like 5 new facts that may illuminate some truth, those facts get taken out of context, and people assume the worst off the new information, and then you have to answer more questions, and then all of a sudden like you spent what you originally budgeted like 5 minutes to explain yourself, and all of a sudden you have like 10 people that assume the worst off the new information, and then you have to clarify that, and all of a sudden like 3 hours are gone, and you're just like, okay, is this even worth it? And that's like kind of my issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And you got to do the best you can. I think PR is super hard. It's something I don't think I'm particularly good at. I also like don't don't I haven't historically valued it that much, and I probably should value it a little bit more. I just don't know the impact, like, right? Like, I don't know. So sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe I should spend more time, um, instead of like working one on one and in private with TOs, and doing like, working with a region and trying to help them out in very specific ways. Maybe it's better if I like produce content that broadly explains, and what you should do when running a tournament, or how you should build a community, or like rules and ways to, and reasoning behind every single thing we do, and like all of the logic that goes behind everything, and really dump that information out there. One reason I like this show, and the reason why we've done it for so long, is because it's like an unfiltered way for us to just like speak stuff without really much planning. We just go on here, and we say what we feel, and the people who want to pay attention get something out of it, and we just basically dump out information as we go on. We don't really plan it out. So sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should make that kind of content, make that sort of stuff to hit a larger section of people. Sometimes I
um
don't know, because a lot of the times when I do stuff like that, and when I have done it in the past, and I've done broader information base, I haven't really seen any return. Like, I haven't seen people be like, "Yeah, man, I'm TOing because of this," or, "Oh, this is like what I'm doing." Usually, the most success I found in this community is working on a one-on-one private basis, and getting people like hands-on experience, and proving people with like real human interaction, and hand holding their way into to success. Right. That's where I found the most success. So I don't know, maybe my approach has been wrong, but I know I haven't done a great job on that front. I don't think I've like really cared or done much about PR, because most of the time it doesn't matter, right? Like if Reddit's mad about something, it's like, so what, right? Like I don't know. I don't know how to put it any other way,
well,
but
I think
realistically, like,
to add to this
yeah,
real quick, like like every big tournament, right? Like it's a totally different experience, like what you experience on the stream or what you kind of hear down the olive branch versus like what's in a tournament. And like what typically happens at the beginning of like a tournament or event is you see like Reddit fill with all these complaints. This is the worst run tournament, and the people who are physically at the event are like, "Oh, I'm having a good time. Like I don't know what's going on," and you have like this like whole different perception. And then by the time the tournament's finished, like most of the time, those complaints kind of calm them. It kind of calms itself down, and we just kind of focus on like, "Oh, okay, everybody's having a good time. This was actually a good event." But what we notice is like before the event, it's like, "Oh my gosh, the stream has this," or "Did you hear what about the commentators and all this drama?" But I just thought of it $1 million idea.
Mhm.
Actually, I lie, $50 idea. We should probably have like a PR guy that just posts on Reddit. So like, let's say the stream goes down, right? If the stream goes down and we let someone else that isn't informed know what's going on, then they take control of the conversation on Reddit and they make the worst assumptions. Like, oh my gosh, Gamer cheaped out on internet once again. WTF, Gamer VG Bootcamp sucks, right? If the internet goes down, right? But if you have a PR guy that goes like, hey, like the internet at the venue's kind of going haywire, we tested this, and they make the first post, then you don't have this assumption on Gamer saying like, yeah, Gamer's the worst, like I can't believe they keep hiring him. And we just take the reins on those kind of conversations. We just have a
Yeah,
dedicated guy.
we could do that. We honestly could. I feel like maybe we've been undervaluing literally PR this whole time. Like we, it's such a bigger issue now. Um, and staying on top of the messaging and staying on top of like the voice of the event, keeping people informed, keeping the fans informed. Yeah, like I get it, and it helps these things not spiral out of control. On a personal level, obviously, like I'm not gonna have a PR manager. It's like that's stupid, but like that's not gonna happen. So I've got to do the best I can. But like ultimately, you kind of have to look at it on like a fundamental basis. Like, are the things they're mad about going to stop them from watching or stop them from attending? And can you say for sure what the effect is on either on either way, right? Like I think like what people are talking about with Bayonetta and they're talking about in Smash 4, potentially yes, like potentially it genuinely could in those respects, and I think it totally could. And it's hard for me to say a no for either way because we don't really have great statistics to go behind our community growth metrics and what we want to do to grow the scene. So it's hard for me to know how anything affects um, our total growth, like
So
how to analyze sentiment and find its effects. Like I don't know, and that's why I find the job of PR to be particularly difficult in Smash Brothers, is because usually when you do like marketing in the real world, you look for the cause and effect and you evaluate against your KPI. But the problem is we have in Smash Brothers we don't have great ways to measure our primary metrics, like our viewership. At least we do, thank God. But that's about it. Our live attendance data isn't really well kept and is not public in any form. So we don't have a great way of accessing that and knowing for sure if we're growing or not. And a lot of the other data like revenue and stuff, like I have pretty much every event's budget or to a lot of them at my disposal, but I don't have it like organized in such a way that can say, hey, Smash Brothers events are making more money this year than they did last year, for example, right? So like these sort of like segmentations of like things that matter for the growth of the scene, um, we haven't done a really good job of doing metric tracking on. So like when I see a sentiment, I can't really like directly relate it to our own performance because I don't know how to measure our performance, right? So I don't know what the value of those sentiments are, and especially because I know that those sentiments often don't touch the real world. Like if someone is if Reddit hates Blur right now, if they're super against me, or if Reddit loves Blur right now, it doesn't change my interaction with Sheridan. It doesn't change my interaction with Taff. It doesn't change my interaction with Curly W or anybody else, right? I'm still going around and helping the scene and doing what I can, and everyone still listens to me, and everyone still like works together. And there's literally no difference in the day to day. Nothing changes. Nothing changes, right? In that respect.
uh,
So
so
it's
I
hard to know what the effect of it is, and so it's hard to place importance in it in any respect.
so I hate to bring this up, but this is I have such a good point to this of like perception before the tournament and complaints, and like how much does it really matter at the end of the day? Because before
Mm.
the tournament, we're gonna go back to Genesis, and this is I kind of don't want to bring up this topic, but UCF, right? UCF, big controversy. You going to Genesis complaints. They thought Sheridan was a tyrant. But look at what happened at the end of the tournament. We were just talking about Plup and how amazing he was, and no one really brought up UCF by the time the tournament was over. So it makes me think that we scripted Plup to win to divert them from UCF.
Maybe, man. Maybe that's what we did. Maybe that's the grand scheme. Maybe that is the grand scheme. Uh, so
We
you
would have
know,
gotten away with it too if it wasn't
yeah,
anyway. But like it just brings up the point, like, even an issue as big as that, like how much does it really matter? Like at the end of the day, like no one was really talking about it on top eight on Sunday.
right, right. It's hard to know. At the end of the day, are people going to stop watching and playing for this issue? Namely, the vast majority of the player base who doesn't even know what it is, right? The viewer base that doesn't even know what it is, right? Like it's hard to know, right? It's hard to know on that front. And similarly, like you know, at the end of the day, like let's look at Apex for example. That tournament was the worst run tournament like series of all time. Like was so horribly run every single year, and people win every year, right? So you got to look at it, be like, okay, so what? They obviously were doing a lot right, right? In order to stay the biggest tournament series and to keep growing and to do a lot of really important things for Smash. What was it that they were doing so right that all of the negative things ended up not mattering as much,
We don't
right?
have
Like
bayonet. We don't have Bayonetta.
maybe that's it, right?
Maybe that's the secret.
Maybe that's it, right? So like ultimately, like, I posted this on Twitter. I care so much more about figuring out why what we're doing sticks and why, or maybe why it doesn't stick, or if it sticks. Actually, that's the thing I care about most. Like when I do an experiment, when I do something good or bad or whatever. Like for example, let's say Holiday Bash, right? Widely lauded. People loved that event, right? People overall said this is an incredible event. We loved watching it. All this crap, right? But that's what the sentiment was. I don't know if that event grew Smash. I don't know if that event helped Smash. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if that type of event, which is like a non-God invitational event, is good for building the personalities and following of those people. Did it really help their brands? Did it help bring those guys and connect them with more sponsors? I mean, no one got signed after it. Did it established like what did it do, right? Like and that's what I try, like sure, put money in the hands of some commentators and some players, maybe that was important. But yeah, so the sentiment was high, but did it grow the game? I don't know, right? And so what I care about so much more than like are we dying or are we growing at this point, like in this and after doing this for so long, I care so much less about that question than I care about if we are if our experiments are working, and or if they're not, or and to what degree. Like I care about those questions so much more, because if I know something works, I'll just do more of it. If I know something doesn't work, I'll stop doing it, right?
Yeah.
And that's really the answers I need to know, like what are the things that stick and what aren't they. And the
Well,
problem uh, from the hard part of answering that question is that we don't have good data behind our growth to be able to answer them with certainty. All I have, and all the main primary metric I use, is the viewership on Twitch. I have like uh, manager status on like a ton of YouTube channels, so I have YouTube data too, and I have live attendance data, right? And then I have revenue data from the budgets. So that's like the stuff I have, but they're not like super definitive cause and effect stuff. So like I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure if the things I do actually end up growing the game. And that's I would love to know. I would love to know what the true thing that grows the game is, because from what I can see, the stuff out of left field is what grows the game. Like the freaking documentary grew the game. Maybe what we need to be doing is crowdfunding another documentary. Maybe that's what we're doing. Maybe wasting time on holding holiday bashes is the wrong idea. Maybe I need to do that. Like I just want to know the things that cause the greatest effect. And sometimes I don't know if what I'm doing is actually that thing. And
well,
and I would love to know it to a greater degree.
I mean, I think you need your base stuff, and then you have the supplementary stuff. Like you couldn't run a documentary on players if there were no tournaments to begin with,
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
Like there would be no story. I mean, I feel like you can't if MLG didn't exist and these players that like had these stories to them didn't exist, then there's no documentary. Um,
Right.
I do have to say that we have a kick-ass game, and regardless of that, like the one thing that differentiates us, no offense, Smash Four, is that like 30 years down the road, like if Melee the esports scene dies, like we're still gonna be playing it. And I feel like if we're gonna do a documentary ass thing, it'd be like a commercial where like some top Melee player like is depicted as a 60-year-old talking to his friend about Melee and all the good times they had, and then it refreshes to like, hey, like, do you want to play some rounds? And then they go play, and then you hear Dreamland music when they're like the age of 60. That would be like an amazing commercial. But that's Melee.
Sure, for sure. Melee is timeless, and there's no doubt that we love our game. And I think that for the most part, if we're being honest, if we're being super honest, we're just getting super carried by Melee like all times. There's so many points in time where Melee has carried us and like let us be where we are. It hasn't been like some awesome organization or some awesome like planning or like great ideas or out of left park, thing. Like the documentary wouldn't have been half as good if Melee wasn't good. Right. Like it took Melee being godlike for that thing to be good. It took Melee being godlike to make sure Evo 2013 when we came back to the scene was great. It took Melee being godlike for Apex 2015 to be amazing. So many like Genesis One, like the newer Genesis, like all of these things were contingent on Melee being godlike, and it happens to be. So we always get rewarded. So the great thing about that, the great thing about that fact is that we can always rely on Melee being godlike. Is in my experience, when you give Melee the stage, it always feeds you back. It always just is like, you know what? You gave me an amazing stage. I'm Melee. I'm gonna just rock it right now, right? And it hits you with it, right? Um, so Genesis every year gives us a theater, gives us amazing entrance, gives us all the top players, and gives us like all the seating, the atmosphere, the production, and every time Melee steps up, like it's like a it just does it. It's so consistent. It's so good at doing this. It gets us that good stuff. So the game carries absolutely, and that's why we're also passionate. Like it's what makes everything tick. I don't think that any of us have this special power to like convince people in their you know teens, young 20s, and 30s to volunteer and work for free for us, right? Like I don't think that's like a talent any of us have. I think it's a talent Melee has, uh, and so that's what really makes everything work.
Yeah. And so I don't know. It's like having a good chunk of meat, right? Like we got the wagyu, and like we really don't have to do much to it. And I guess
Yeah,
the big question we're wondering is like how do we turn that wagyu into something? I don't know, like some multi exponential thing. I don't know the answers to it.
yeah, no, for sure. I think like, man, Overwatch League has my head spinning at this point in esports in the industry. Like that thing is it's like shocking me. Uh, how so many of its bold experiments succeeded. In my opinion, succeeded. So many of them have succeeded already that like it's making me rethink like how everything works. And so I don't. The hardest thing is that Melee can't grow like every other game, right? Like the hardest thing is what you want to do when building something successful is copy everyone else. Like the first step, right? The first step to learning something. How does everyone get good at Melee? The first step is you watch videos and you copy your favorite player, right? Like it's like step number one. The hard part with growing Smash Brothers is we can't copy everyone else. We are so unique. We have so everything we do is so unlike everyone else, and we are such the exception that we have to pave the path in everything we do. And so it's like being Axe, right? We're the Pikachu. We're
Mm.
we're just Pikachu. We're not the highest tier. We don't have all the tools, but you know what? We're so sick. We are so sick, and because of that,
We're
we can go.
relevant. We're relevant year after year.
We're right there every year, dude. We're right there every year, and you know what? Axe has been good for a long time. I mean, we've been good for a long time, and the world's happy they have Axe. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, but at the same time, we get so close, and then we get like Armada or Hungry Box, and we're just like, ah, next year, next year, next year.
What? This guy has back air? I'm like, what? He can float? He's not. We don't have float. I'd love to have float, dude.
We would
That's
like
not.
to.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, like, that's how it feels like, right? And so we got to do it our own way, right? Like we got to figure out a way to get there. Thankfully, I'm really proud to say that we're in a community where it's like it's super rewarding to work with all these people. I think like the people you meet in Smash, it's just some of the best people, right? Like it's hard not to be inspired day after day working with Smashers, because they're willing to do anything it takes, and I really like the never say die mentality. It took a while for me to realize that, just how different and unique we are in that particular respect, than other scenes and all that. It mostly took like working with other esports for me to truly understand it. Like getting something done in Smash, like I've done so much with $0. It's incredible. Like, and I try to do the same thing in other esports. Like, and I try to give people advice in other esports. Be like, why don't you just talk to someone, get this solved, make something happen, right? And it doesn't happen because ever with these other games, like you go and you tell someone like, hey man, I'd really love to do this project. We can do this. Oh, let's work together. Let's do all this stuff. And the first thing they're talking about is money. Like we're not even like past like step one. They're like, all right, how much you can pay me? What do we gotta do? And I'm talking about for small games. Like I'm not talking about like okay, League of Legends or whatever, because you know what, they know their worth. They know that game's big. They know that there's an ecosystem here. They deserve to get paid. I'm talking about like super small games, games that like genuinely there isn't a market for your content, bro. Like we're just trying to make something happen, right? And they're out there doing that, right? And it holds them back. In Smash, you want to make something happen, you can make it happen. You can seriously make it happen because the people around you will help make it happen, and we will make sure that it succeeds. Not because we want a personal gain, we're doing it for the scene. Now, there's exceptions to that. There's people out there who are, you know, really in it for themselves and not in it for the community. But we have a way of, uh, you know, not I wouldn't say expelling those people, but like we have a way of like not promoting those people to positions of power. In my experience, right? I think over time that sort of stuff usually loses out in the Smash community because it's really transparent. Um, so like yeah, it's super rewarding to work in Smash, and
Well,
that's
I
why I
have
really
to. Can I ask you this? At
yeah.
what point are we so vigilant that it actually hurts us from having outside people come in? That our skepticism has lost us opportunities, and like our general vitriol towards people that aren't within the scene.
Can you rephrase that? I want to understand your question.
So like, yeah, we're very naturally skeptical, and that's done us good in keeping a lot of the bad guys away. But has there ever been? I mean, have we lost opportunities because we're so like spiteful of people that aren't in the community that are trying to get in and help, but because of negative
Um,
percent?
so I don't think on the TO front, I think the answer is no, because I think we've done an extremely good job on that. I think we're actually the best scene in that. I think when you look at it, if you're a third party tournament organizer, Smash is super approachable, right? Why is Esports Arena, DreamHack, Beyond the Summit, like all of these organizers from other games into Smash and hosting Smash tournaments and like making it happen? The answer is because we make it super approachable, right? Those guys want to do work on stuff. They link with me, they link with D1, they link with you potentially, they work with whoever, one of the community leaders, and we help them get a date. We help them source setups. We have like literally a network of vaults all around the fucking world where we like source setups for them. We literally have I have like Google Docs of like TOs around the country and like contacts that they can hit up. If they're trying to host in Austin, I'll make sure they get my Austin guy. If they're trying to host somewhere else, like we're literally giving them a hiring list. Like hire these people, hire this talent, and you know what? We're gonna like link you up on Twitter to make sure you guys work it out, and we'll tell you how much the rate is for straight up, so like you don't you know how to scale a budget. We'll consult you. We'll help you with like all this stuff. All this stuff. In fact, in many cases, we'll even make your tournament format, your tournament schedule. We'll do all the work for you. You don't have to do very much. So in terms of like bringing people in from the outside, I
Oh
think
no
we've
no
done
no
a
no
really
no!
good
Hey,
job.
Blur Blur. One sec.
Tafo.
All
Tafo.
right, all right. Let's go. All right. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Okay, Tafo.
Yeah,
Tafo.
yeah. You're good.
Are
You're
we
good.
back?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. So this happens every once in a while on this app. It sucks. Anyway, so I think bringing people in from the outside on the TO front, we've done an exceptional job. Um, I think if you just look at it on an objective basis, third party tournament organizers from the FGC, from Dota, from like Rock, like literally every other scene is somehow participating in Smash Brothers. They have no reason to be, right? Like we make it exceptionally easy to participate. Um, we have events and conventions, whether it's at PAX, South by Southwest. We've done Smash Brothers everywhere, at this point. So on that front, I think we do a pretty good job, and we're appropriately skeptical because I think the super shady people we cull away, but for the most part, third party and outside organizers are really really succeeding in Smash Brothers. They're making a name for themselves. So that part I think we do good. That part I think has been proven. What I think a point you weren't trying to make, but one that I want to answer is you were saying like how well do we bring in outside people? I want to talk about like how well we bring in outside people, not the TOs, but uh, the fans. And I think that part we do horrible. I don't think we do a good job. And what I mean by that is, so how does someone often become a Smash Brothers tournament organizer, right? They're a hardcore Smash player who often at one point want to become the best in the world or want to become very good at the game, and slowly they transition into a TOing role, and then eventually they become a community leader or whatever. Literally all of the major community leaders and people like helping organize the scene, whether on a regional basis or an international basis, all come from that pretty uniform background. Same sort of thing, right? They all have those interests in mind, right? The hard part about that is through that and through that experience, we've gotten really good and we've really honed a muscle that helps us build tournaments that are great for people like us, right? So I'm extremely good at building events and a community for people who like to do what I like to do, right? Like when I go to an event, I don't really care about buying merch. I don't really care about hearing a panel. I don't care about signing sessions. I don't care about so many of these ancillary things. I genuinely don't care about these things. Like what I care about is, do you have setups? Is it 24 hours? Is the viewing nice? Is the production value good? Yeah, I like these things, right? Because I'm a hardcore Smash aficionado. This is my bread and butter. This is what I want to do at an event, and maybe I want to party every night. Like these are the things I want to do. These are the things we're doing well. Like these are the things we're already like kind of doing well, right? And we're making sure everyone's happy on that front. But the things we're having a harder time relating to, and the things that we're having a harder time branching out to, are building a product and building a community um, for people with different motivations, with different interests, with different you know ways of life and different things. So things that people who are not like us, right, who aren't you know don't fit in that into that box, and you see this all around the community, right? So um often in the scene I feel like a TO is even like pretty higher up TOs will discourage certain proactive measures by um, you know, using logic like, well, that guy should just get good. Well, he lost. That's fair. Or like so many different ways that doesn't don't understand the core problem. That guy doesn't want to get good, right? Or that guy's playing for different reasons than you, or that guy's in the scene for completely different reasons than you. Like it's hard for us to relate to people that let's say like the 45-year-old dad who's literally there to support his kid, or the 45-year-old dad who is there to play, doesn't have much time to play because he has a full-time career and has no aspirations of becoming great at the game, but is mostly just there to be there. Or let's say like the 16-year-old Smash player who can only go to so many events a year, but is mostly there to just chill and have a social experience and doesn't really care about entering or any of these other things. Or maybe even the guy who does want to get better but is at the very bottom of the pack. How do you make that experience good instead of the people in the middle of the pack, right? Because usually most TOs are at least mid-level players. That's usually you've been in the scene for long enough. um like so many different market segments that like we're not really hitting and thinking about on a total basis, because our leadership and this includes regionally and everything else, are so homogenous. Everyone comes from a similar background and comes from similar walks of life. So we're not building those products right. If I wanted to build a truly convention style Smash event, I don't think I'd do a very good job. I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't want to go to a panel. I don't want to do vendor booths. I don't really care about like all this sort of frilly stuff. It just wouldn't appeal to me. So I wouldn't know how to make it cool. And and I think that's true for most of our scene. And I think that part we've done poorly. Tafo, was any of this stuff I said even? Did you? Was Tafo here? Yo, Tafo, what happened? I can't hear you, Tafo. Is Tafo muted? Oh, they heard me the whole time, but no one can hear Tafo. Isn't that awesome? Okay, well, it's amazing how long we went without anyone noticing. That's fantastic. That is actually fantastic. All right, chat. You say something in response to what I said, so I'll carry while Tafo figures it out. Tafo, Tafo's gonna figure it out. Look at his beautiful face. He's trying to figure it out. But you guys just give me a question and I'll talk about it. This is the Blur and Blur show. Yeah, someone I actually put a tweet today, and I feel like in so many ways, like the way I worded it, people might have not gotten that point, the point I wanted to get across. I said it's easy to build a community that people like you enjoy. It's very hard to build a community which people with different motivations, lifestyles, and interests call home. Don't expect to know how to get there, hire well, and the best solution to come from your team. Diversity work. So basically, what I'm trying to say there is not necessarily. I think the way most people read that is, oh, in the standard societal ways that everyone tries to push down our throat, like, hey, to cut people up into different races, genders, you know, sexuality preferences, all the stuff that everyone tries to do. But that's not really like directly what I was trying to say. What I was specifically saying is like, yo, not everyone that goes to your event wants to become the best in the world, or not everyone that goes to your event plays for the same reasons as you. Not all of them have the same habits as you. Not all of them have the same amount of time they want to invest into the game as you. Not all of them go for the same sort of things. Maybe they don't want to sit at a setup for 8 hours a day. Maybe they do. Make sure they can enjoy that too, right? Not all of them care about the same features in an event that you do. So think about all those people and make sure they have a good time. The hard part is building a community for people different than you, for people who want different things. Because the reason why that's hard is because you don't know how to, you don't know what makes them tick, and you don't know you don't know what part of what they enjoy in that experience, in those motivations make them enjoy it, right? You don't know because you don't have that motivation. You don't find that valuable. So it's one thing to have empathy, but it's you have to go a little bit deeper than that. And I think the way to do it is by hiring people on who know who think like that. If I ever ran a truly convention style Smash event, for example, I would like to hire someone who is not a hardcore Smasher. Like, I would want someone on the team who I'd be like, "Yo, make this fun for yourself. Make sure that if you walked in this room, you'd have a good time. And if you do, if then you did a good job. Because that's what we're looking for." Okay. Someone is People said Blur with Smash Bros. Attracted a bigger audience. If Kid Rock played 3 songs before grand finals every tournament, probably, actually. He's got an audience, right? um, let's see. Okay, so what else is there? Blur, what game has the most crossover to Melee besides Smash 4, i.e. new players in Melee coming from that game? I think it's League of Legends. And I think League of Legends has a bigger crossover than Smash 4 as well. League of Legends is the answer. And I'm saying this like on a very dated way. That's the answer. But that's mostly because there's so many League of Legends players. On a percentage basis, I don't know the answer to that. Like relative to how big each of the games are. Okay, what's the next question? Laura, can you compare Smash 4 hatred for Bayo with post brawl melee hatred for Puff? What are similarities and differences in your opinion? Um, I think no, most people still didn't think post brawl was the best character. I think they just didn't like her. I think people think Bayonetta is the best in Smash 4. Now, having said that, the data on Bayonetta is not even that strong. So it's kind of like I lived through Meta Knight. I saw that. And in the end, like, yeah, some tournaments banned it. There was a period of time where there was a Unity rule set and all that drama. But dog, Meta Knight was centralizing. And maybe they should ban him. I don't know. But Bayo's stats aren't really, they don't really jump off the page. I'm gonna be honest, relatively, uh, in Smash Brothers. Like, she doesn't even do better than Fox. I don't think. Uh, she's definitely not like a quarter of the top 32 like Fox usually is. So it's not really. It's kind of. It's interesting that it's been blown to this proportion when it's really not that statistically dominant. Blur. Dafo, what's up? Have you figured it out? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's figured it out. He's calling me back. What is Tafo doing? Can we just make this the Blur and Blur show and just kick Tafo off? No one cares. This is just Tafo trying to figure his mic out as the sideshow. At this point, you're all here for this. You're all, you're all here for this. Tafo, don't take me out. They're they're here for this right here. Um, yeah, Tafo's a failure of a streamer. Okay, so what else is there? So, man, there were some really good questions I missed. I'm trying to get to. Uh, would it be helpful for local scenes to reach out to you when trying to run a 100 plus man tournament? No, I don't think so. I think 100 plus man is too small. I don't think I can make too much of a difference there, and I don't think I have the time to. That's just my honest answer. I think usually I try to help with a little tournaments of a little bit larger scale than that. Though I mean, I'll always give you advice and stuff. I'm just being honest. Uh, do, 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 do. Okay, let's go next. Let's go next. Tafel's messing up my webcam too? Come on. What's my top 5 melee? I don't want to answer that question. I'll hurt too many feelings. As a TO and overall community leader, what do you think about the TO watch from Japan? Is growing that community realistic? Absolutely, it's realistic. I think they're in a very um, low spot right now relative to where they should be, but I think their potential is extraordinarily high. Realistically, the love for retro gaming, competitive gaming, and fighting games in Japan is insane, and the potential there is nuts. And they already have some extremely good players, whether in their active player pool or the retired player pool. So I think Japan has a ton of potential. They could become huge, huge. Seriously, Japan should be huge. Um, I say this a lot, but I think NA, at least the US, is actually like if you just look at pure potential, they have so much. The U.S. for the most part has so much less potential than like some areas of Europe, Japan, and Latin America because this is venue costs, unions, these sort of things that hold us back um, from building upon the Smash model, right? Like in Europe, you can book these venues for extraordinarily small prices, and the travel between different countries is so easy because the EU, shouts to the UK though, and Ryanair and all these sort of things. Um, Lodging is easy. All these sort of things are so easy. You can just host a tournament like with so little money. Some of these events should be like people should be hosting in Europe. I think a North American tournament organizers need to be just hosting in Europe. It's not that hard to get a venue and you can still host it out there. Just fly out there. It's fine. Um, and Japan, Japan getting a venue is a little bit harder, but that's only if you really want to be in Tokyo. I think that the player base will travel, and I think the public transport's good enough. They will make sure of it. There's just so many people. There's so many people out in Tokyo. It's the biggest city in the world. So I think that has a high degree of success. And Latin America, again, everything's dirt cheap. When you're trying to go for a sponsorship, so like say like you're trying to pitch Blur, like Blur, I really need $10,000, right? I give $10,000 to an American TO, they burn it in like 5 seconds. Like nothing, that 10,000 goes nowhere, right? It literally just evaporates. I give $10,000 to the scene in Latin America, they'll give me like 10 nationals for relative to their scene, right? They will give me so much with that $10,000. It's insane, and so I think that's a humongous leg up over the American scene. What the American scene obviously has is like their main differentiating factor is one, they allow unit sales to begin with. Two, they have though we have really expensive costs relative to these other regions. We also have you know generally um, a lot of like affluent areas that are able to like pay for it, and that some notable affluent leaders that are able to pay for a lot of this stuff at cost. And third, we just have a history of it, right? Like I think that's the main thing is that we have a history of leadership and history of tournament organizing that outscopes and outstrips everything that those guys have done. So I think that's been the difference maker. But I think they have tons of potential. Watch in particular, I think he's got a lot of potential, but he's got to prove it, man. At the moment, he's done a lot of small time stuff, but he needs to grow into being a lot bigger because that scene needs him. So I'm rooting for him. I am rooting for him. People are talking about gambling laws in Japan. Yeah, yeah, that is the thing. But there are interesting ways around it. You could like, there's way like Evo Japan people got paid, for example. There are ways around it. I could go into detail, but people do it. What they usually do is they sponsor someone. They like they they host an interview. I know this will sound ridiculous. You host a tournament and then you host an interview after the tournament and you pay someone you interview with the winner and you pay someone an appearance fee for the interview. So you host a tournament, they win the tournament, and then you interview the winner, and then you pay them for the interview, which is like paying them for winning. So there's a lot of really weird scuzzy ways that people get away with paying the winner of tournaments, but yeah, it still ends up being okay. It's not as big a deal as people make out. Anyway, sneaky stuff. Blur, have I tried to contact Tafo during all this? No, it looks like he's playing Puzzle Fighter, actually. And I have now taken over stream. So this show has changed dramatically. Random GP says there's no way Melee is becoming big in Japan. I disagree. It is already decently sized, and it will continue to grow if it's fostered correctly. I think there's a massive potential there. I don't know why you would say that. There's no way. You said the word no way and Melee in the same sentence. Do you know what we've done? Do we know? Do you know what community you're talking about? You just said the word no way. Ugh, this guy said no way. I'm gonna slap you across my monitor. This guy said no way. No way. Smash can't do it. Melee can't do it. No way. Freaking. Yeah. You can't say no way to us. Not to us. Um, who would win in a crew battle, Japan or Texas Japan? Amnesiac in the stream, probably wondering what the heck is going on. My co-caster in this, Tafkins, is actually failing in production values and doesn't seem to be able to get his mic to work. So he just made the Blur and Blur show, and he's in the corner over there having a good time. But yeah, Blurnesiac, that's going to be happening. But I need to have another follow-up call with my boy Raynad to make sure I'm on the team. Obviously, I have a lot of competing offers, trying to make this teams thing work, but got to get the money right. So Blur or Curly W, what happens first? An Evo without Melee or an Evo without Street Fighter 5? An Evo without Street Fighter 5. I think that's pretty obvious. Um, do do do. Give me more questions, guys. Tafel's Puzzle Fire is going to be on the right hand side apparently, and we're going to keep going because Tafel just does not know how to use a microphone. What are the odds ESPN streams Melee this year? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say 0%. That's my educated guess. Also, like, does Arcade Edition count as SF5? Yeah, it does. It does. It's a new title, no, so my. The Japanese mass culture is enticed by shiny new things and really wants to move on to the next new exciting thing. So is everywhere. But you know what's better than new things sometimes? Melee. Melee. And I actually kind of disagree. They love retro games. You walk around Japan, retro games are everywhere. You walk around America, retro games are nowhere. So I don't know if I agree with you. I think all that really matters is population density, initial install base, which is really high, especially with the Nintendo fandom out there. Um, things like public transport, like availability of venues, and most importantly, the number one thing that matters in terms of community growth, um, leadership. Do the TOs exist? Smash is TO constrained. It has always been this way. Don't let anyone else fool you. People will tell you, oh, Smash can't grow because Hungrybox is winning. Smash can't grow because Bayonetta. Smash can't grow because of this or that or these other reasons, or because it's not fun to watch right now, or because hey, it didn't sell enough, or because hey, um, these million excuses. No, when Smash doesn't grow, it's because people aren't hosting events, and because people aren't out there hosting good events, and there aren't good leaders, and there aren't people with unique and exciting new ideas making things happen. That is the number one reason. Now, those other reasons could be true too. Doesn't mean they're not, but almost assuredly, the reason why Smash stagnates or doesn't grow is because, especially in a local scene, um, is when people fail at growing it. That's the truth. We're TO constrained. So treat your TOs nicely because they're really important. Blur, what's the state of China's mail scene? Any development in the works? So ESA is going to host some Chinese events. Chinese scene is mostly expats. Expats means people who are like basically Americans, Europeans, other Asian countries who live in China and just want to compete. Now, that doesn't sound very promising because it's like, oh wow, native Chinese people don't care. There's a few of them, of course, who play. But the truth is that some of these cities are so big that expats are almost enough. Like some of these are like, sure, they're like 40 people tournaments, but like cities like Shanghai, Beijing, there's so many people in those cities that there's enough expats to have a scene. Like those cities are so big. Their cities are so absurdly massive. The expats are enough to run a scene. So that's something to keep in mind. Now the hard part is that console gaming was illegal in China for a little while, and that's the while that Smash was out and over there. And overall, console gaming isn't very big in China, and Nintendo doesn't distribute in China, and the game never really built an install base out in China. So massive hurdles, massive, almost insurmountable hurdles. Um, to me, it doesn't seem. It's not that on a global basis. Obviously, I want to support every region and make sure they get bigger and all that. But I think there are regions which right now I would prioritize in terms of growing globally, simply because I think there's inherently an easier road to grow them on an immediate basis. Regions like Japan, regions like certain areas of EU, some are more developed than others, obviously, and LATAM and things like that. I think they're easier because at least the game was distributed there, right? Like if you're gonna build the scene in like let's say Korea, you basically have to like start from scratch, like literally like you have to do Nintendo's work for them. Like you have to like somehow distribute the game and make people play it, like on a very basic level. You grow the game in Japan. At least some people played it a decade ago, or they know what Smash Brothers is, or they know what Mario is for sure, at least. So you're somewhere. You're getting there. So I think they have a long way to go for China. I think China's really tough, and it doesn't help that China isn't really active on Twitch. So most of our content's on Twitch, right? Um, and they don't really use YouTube that much either. So a lot of the main places where people would find and consume Smash uh, aren't really big in China, right? Like they have their own stuff. So I think they're going to be that makes it even harder. Um, yeah. So I don't know. It's tough. They're really isolated from the rest of the world. So okay, I'm gonna read some new questions. Let's see what's going on. Blur Melee is great, but what about the future of the genre? What do we do to get Melee 2 because we curb stomp PM away? Um, we don't need to get Melee 2. Um, we're fine. Sounds good. Melee. I like it. Um, I think like to necessitate something like a Nintendo follow up to Melee or something like that, we would have to get significantly larger and show genuine revenue paths that they can monetize off our scene. So we'd have to do that. That's one way it would happen. We'd have to get like huge for it to really happen. I mean, obviously, if we're showing numbers which would represent millions and millions of users, they would take it seriously and they would be interested on a financial basis potentially. So that could happen, but we'd have to get a lot bigger, like a lot bigger. Yeah, it's possible, and we'd probably have to get bigger in Japan, so it's like at their doorstep, and they'd have to understand. Now, third party guys like icons, whatever, you got to wish them success. Those are always possible. I think for the most part, though, it's hard to convince hardcore melee people to move on from melee because we're really into melee. If you couldn't tell based on the podcast, we really like it. Blur, have you been at recent big tournaments? Haven't seen you commentating. I was at Genesis. I've pretty much said no to commentating for a while, like a long time. I think I was on the couch for like a couple blocks during Holiday Bash, but that was just to fill people because like some of the commentators were like in the bathroom or not there or whatever. I really didn't want to do it. So yeah, I've been super into commentating, but I'm at tournaments and I'm making things happen. I'm doing things behind the scene. Doesn't mean I'm dead. I'm just not into commentating right now. That's all. So maybe I'll be back into it one day, but just not right now. Yeah, dude. DJing at the 24-hour venue at Genesis. Yeah, I was up until like 5, maybe more 6 a.m. playing. I was whooping gel guys. Eh, I was doing work. Um, I my secondaries can't beat his Marth though. It was actually embarrassing. He won an Iron Man because his Marth took like 15 stocks. It was terrible. Let me tell I can't beat Marth with my secondaries. You know why? It's not because Jol Guy's Marth is that good. It's because and people say you're supposed to beat the character you play because you know all their weaknesses and you know all of what they're supposed you know how to beat them because you've been beaten that way before, and so all you have to do is emulate your opponent and blah blah blah. It's so not true. You know why it's not true? Because I have such respect for Marth that every time I see that character, I'm like, I shouldn't. There's no. What am I supposed to do? I know Marth can beat everything I do because Marth is so goddamn good. And when I play my secondaries, I just go like, okay, there's nothing I can do. This is what this Marth should obviously be doing, and he's not doing it. But like, I can't do this option because I know if he was doing what he was supposed to be doing, what I'm doing is dumb as hell. And so it's like by knowing People always talk about you play a character so you know its weaknesses. The truth is, I play Marth, so I know his strengths, and that terrifies me. So every time I play against a Marth with my secondaries, I crumble. The only way to beat Marth, for me, is with Marth. It's impossible. It's impossible. Okay. So, questions. Do you think the shortage of gaming controllers could affect mainly they're increasing their price a lot? Yeah, yeah, it could. Hard to say to what degree. Um, I would hope people aren't buying it off Amazon. That's usually the price that's cited. I hope that's not where they're buying it because that's not a wise purchase. In certain regions, it's a lot better. Like I just walked into like a Japanese game store and there was like freaking like tons of GameCube controllers, like fresh ones, and like they were just selling them for like 30, $20. It was like pretty cheap, and they had different colors and everything. It was fucking fantastic. So much more accessible there. But yeah, for sure, for sure. Blur, who are your favorite up and coming commentators? Oh, you're not gonna like my answer to this one. You're not gonna like it. No one. Yeah, no, everyone sucks. What's next? If you had 100K to spend on the melee community, what would you do with it? Oh wow, that's an open-ended question. I'd prefer if you make it make it more specific because 100K to do just period. I think honestly, let me be honest with you, 100K is not very much money. So with 100K, I don't think I would use it. I think I would give my money back and be like, thank you very much. But come back to me when you're talking about a mil, 2 mil, 3 mil, 100K. You can take that back. You can take that back. 100K can't really do much in Smash. If I'm being honest, you're on the wrong scale. No, not $100 million. I'm not. Okay, right, chill out. $1 million. $1 million. There's a lot of different things. I think, um, obviously, the obvious solutions are to consolidate the scene, promote premier events, funnel money to locals. I think building like a bottoms up structure. Um, I don't know how specific I want to be with this question. Here's the thing. This question's interesting. I can go really specific on this one because obviously this is what I think about on a day basis, but I don't know how specific I want to be. Um, but yeah, you could do a lot of stuff. I think you could build TO incentive models. You could up production at events. You could incentivize streamers. $1 million gets you only so far, but it gets you enough that you can consolidate events to one particular channel and make sure the production is on its well done and commentators are paid and so certain things get leveled up. Probably need closer to like 2.5, 5 mil to like really make a difference. But mil goes decently far. Goes decently far. Gets us somewhere. That's for sure. Anyway, better question is, would you guys do with $1 million? That's a thought puzzle for the day. If you had $1 million for Smash Brothers, what would you do with it? And really break it down and send it to me over email so I can analyze it. No, for real. And also, like, if you could answer the question, like, what would you do for different segments of the scene? Like, how would you grow bottoms up, not from a top down perspective? I think the top down answer is really easy, right? Like, oh, I build a league, or oh, I'd build a tournament series, or oh, I'd make the biggest tournament of all time. Congratulations. Those answers are really easy. Um, how to do it from bottoms up? How would you grow a local scene? How would you grow the marketing? How would you grow the branding? How would you grow, um, you know, how would you make sure that money gets to facilitate, drop down everywhere and not just to a few TOs? And how do you make sure it doesn't get wasted? Things like that. Yeah, dude, I just host KOC5. Edwin says I'd give it all to Robin Harn. He would literally waste it. Do not do that. That man is a greedy man. Don't believe his lies. Kidding, I love Rob. I'd pay for the rights to Duke Nukem so he can be in Smash 5. That's, not a good idea. I think that would help. Force European TOs to switch to NTSC. Why? Why would I force them to do anything? Like, their community wants to play it, let them play it, man. Let them play. Whatever. It's been going on for long enough. This is really the top of mind issue right now, Like, again, how much does that really matter? Does it really matter? Don't we have bigger fish to fry? So I'm just saying. I would probably invest in CRTs and setups around the world for locals being able to have setups. We already have that. So we already have vaults around the world. We literally did that. That was the whole Smash Vault initiative. We kind of got that, man. To a strong degree, obviously we can have more vaults, but I would say that thing we did. Someone says investing in a circuit, but you got to be more specific than that. Well, break it down. Like, great. Again, like I said, make a tournament, make a league, whatever. Oh, you can do better than that. It's got to be better. You can do better than that. Do you think having many Melee community members being employees at Twitch has helped Melee? Yes. 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 We get a lot of things our way for no reason because of it. Yes. We are way too small to be getting all of the favors we get. But yeah, we do. What about investing in real estate / venues that tournament series owned? So like you're saying, like buying a brick and mortar spot. Maybe that would use like your entire million, but like let's say you just like buy like esports arena, like that one location, like the whole, like not just rent it, buy that space. That probably cost you more than $1 million. So you use your whole million on that, on just that, on LA alone. Come on now. The difficulty comes in incentivizing players to attend tournaments and for TOs to host tournaments, but without causing oversaturation. Lagrange CL, starting to think outside the box. We're starting to get there. Critical thinking. Hey, man, this is what I was saying, man. This is what I was saying. I like talking to people because I think when we start talking, start getting the juices flowing. Start getting the juices flowing. How often do you get the juices flowing about Smash Brothers? You're over there watching, DJing out, sitting back, like, oh, Mango Club, Mango Nation, PPMD, great guys. The juices aren't flowing. We're over here trying to get the juices flowing. I try to grow struggling foreign scenes. Arctic Thomas, but how? Seriously, guys. You can do better than this. I can give you the answers, Arctic Thomas. I'm just going to cheat for you. Cheat. They're going to come here. I think you should use that money if you're trying to improve the foreign scenes to build foreign language broadcast studios in other countries so that they can commentate over and co-stream large events in the foreign languages so that you can grow the scene by producing content and unique content for the foreign languages. I was also invest in building foreign language content bases, invest in foreign language content creators. That would go a long way in building those scenes up because they'd have somewhere to have an entry point into the scene. That would be good. Also, maybe helping give those guys a little bit of a stipend for venues when it's too expensive. Like Tokyo, for example, has some very expensive venues. It'd be very nice if they had something consistent. So maybe giving those guys a stipend, make sure they're a little bit better off as a result. Some places just need majors, right? It'd be really nice if Tokyo, for example, had a very large event. It would be nice. I think that would go a very long way if they just had a major. I think that would be a big deal for Tokyo and for Japan in general, right? Like, and for Europe, they have different issues, right? And how to grow them. But like international, we're starting to get good answers. Starting to get better answers. Get an animation studio to make a legitimate Melee anime. You know what? That's the kind of people look at them and be like, hey, Bad idea. You're just gonna waste $1 million on fucking making a melee anime. First of all, an anime costs a lot more than $1 million, so you might be making a short story. But hey, the documentary got people insane, and I think if you told people that you'd spend $1 million on a documentary instead of like putting it into the events, they tell you you're not using the money well. And guess what? They'll put in a great use of money. So actually, we did a documentary for $14,000. But you get the idea. You know, never underestimate content pieces. Oh, I'm Are we back? Are we back? Okay, cool. Tafo still, no one can hear him, of course. The standard. He'll never figure it out. He's just playing Puzzle Fighter. All right, so Curly W says college esports is the dumbest, but it kind of makes sense for Melee. It makes a ton of sense for Melee. Ton of sense for Melee. Collegiate esports, growing them, really good. I don't really understand why I say collegiate esports is dumb overall. I don't think it is, but it's definitely good for Melee. um, Adam Muddy says, actually, I'd use the 1 million to probably run marketing surveys in the scene. Marketing surveys in the scene. So you use it for marketing. Maybe that's good. How about buddy? Thinking about it. I think a central investment group for Melee would be helpful, sort of emulating the structure of student funding boards, where seniors can apply for grants and have to make proposals, with proposals being helped along by people with institutional knowledge in the org. I like it. So you're saying if you have $1 million, what you would do is you would make a board of people where people make proposals. So the board, I'm not sure about. I don't know the politics of all this, so I'm just going to skip that part because I don't really understand how these student funding boards work. But the part I like about what you're saying is proposals. The thing that frustrates me often in Smash is when I have to give the idea. There are people out there, ladies and gentlemen, who have a conversation with me, and I hit them with the words, pitch me, give me a pitch, tell me. And if you can't do it now, give it to me later. And they basically tell me I don't know. And then they complain about why their scene isn't growing. I'm like, I'm literally giving you an opportunity right now. Tell me what you need, and I'll see if I can make it happen. If it's money, I can always figure that out. If it's something else, marketing, if you need support, if you need front page, if you need a certain player, if you need if there's up to Cruise and Blur, tell me what you need. Give me a pitch. And so often, I'm so disappointed. I like the proposals part. Like seriously, the proposals in Smash are so bad. I wish we lived in a world where a tournament wants a streamer, and what do? They RFP. There's a request for proposal for the less business minded out here. They RFP for a production vendor. So VG Bootcamp, Melee Every Day, all these people, non-Smash people, all submit proposals for how they would perform this function of being a production arm for this event. And they bid on it, and they actually try. No, they don't bid on it, but they basically say, hey, this is how we perform it, and this is what we do, and this is their ideation, and this is what we want to do for it, and this is how awesome we'd make it. And similarly, TOs need to start upping the proposal game. Hey, I really want to host a major event or a big event in X region, and this is what we want to do, and blah blah blah. Put that, make that strong. You don't have to make it into a deck. At least make it into a good phone call. Come on. If you can't, if you're a TO in your region, if you can't answer, hey, what does it take? If you don't can't answer that question, what does it take? What does it take? What do you need? What does it take to make your vision come true? Then you're literally failing because you're never going to be ready for that conversation. It doesn't have to be a conversation with me. It could be with anyone else, a sponsor, like literally just a rich person, anything, like someone with influence, anything. If you can't answer the question, what do you need? Then you're failing. Because how is someone going to help you? You want them to make the ideas for you? It's your job, right? Like that's not how this works, right? And I appreciate finding the answers together and working together and all that. I've been doing it for a while. And ultimately, like the world I'd love is if I had, let's say, $50,000, right, which I can spend in the month of February, and I just say, hey guys, I have $50,000. Everyone, tell me what you can do with it, and I'll give the $50,000 away to the best options. I would love to live in that world. Because then maybe some cool options, some good ideas would come about. And not every idea would come out of my freaking brain. Like, that'd be good. That would be good. Laura, how many more Smash Summits do you think there will be? A lot more. I think there'll be at least 2 a year for the foreseeable future. At least this year, probably next year. At least this year. Very likely next year. Blur, what is Nintendo doing for tournaments? They sponsor NDA. I'd use the $1 million to get Nintendo to port mainly to Switch. Do you know what $1 million is? It's not that much money. Chill out. It's 3 engineers. Like it's like 2.5. It's actually like 2. It's 2 engineers once you factor in total comp. On a yearly basis. We're not talking about like forever. It's 2 engineers at a tech company. Calm down. $1 million is not that much money. You're not gonna get all that. You don't run a tournament unless you really love the game and the community. Yes, with some notable exceptions. Very notable exceptions. What tech company is paying their engineers $500K? I want to work there. Yeah. I mean, I'm in Silicon Valley, so. Yeah, I said total comp though. That means like salary, which is often upwards of 250, usually 300. Like starting is like 200 plus. And then you have like benefits, you have travel, you have like insurance, like all this other stuff. Yeah, it adds up. It adds up to like 500 in budget sheets for total comp. And also like they get stock. Yeah, they make a lot of money, man. I am not an engineer anymore. I used to be. I gave up that for esports, for Smash. So, Smash Brothers, baby. Best decision I ever made. What else? Um, we have to switch summits events from spring to fall to more appropriate and useful dates. IMO have both been on dates where significant others of HBox have their birthday, so we can't. Swifter, you really had me there. I really didn't see that coming. I'm gonna be honest with you. Uh, yeah, yeah. Tell him Maple. Oh, jeez. Swifter, I gotta admit that was a good bait and switch. You got me. I was like, oh, okay, he's talking about Smash Summit dates. Maybe okay, maybe we should move him. Okay, all right. Oh, I see. I see his game. Well done. Well done. Blur, would you recognize me IRL? Be honest. Yes, I do. And I already have many times, Edwin, and I've regretted every time. Don't get too haughty. Chill out. Blur, when are we going to get casters from other games to jump into Smash? We've seen League, Dota, SC2 commentators in different games, but not Melee. Um, we don't really pay our commentators very well, so not in a paid capacity, but I think some of them will do it on a hobbyist basis. Many of them express interest. My boy Frodan always wants to commentate because he plays melee. We've seen, like there's just literally so many of them play melee, like tons of them play Smash and are interested in Smash. So they'll do it like just for fun. But yeah, like if you're talking about like full time, you think they're gonna leave like League and Dota? Yeah, Golden Boy loves Smash. Golden Boy's the homie, one of my great friends in esports. Um, yeah, tons of guys. Golden Boy actually has done like PAX Arena hosting before, so yeah, a lot of the big ones really like it, so they'll do it on a hobbyist basis. They're just like, hey, I just want to support Smash. I understand the scene, I understand the ecosystem, doesn't can't afford it, but I just want to support. And so I think that's what we'd see. But yeah, they're never going to do it for like full time. They have to eat, so I wouldn't expect that. um, yeah, Deficio is a contractor now, so you never know. Never really hung out with that guy though, so couldn't tell you. Could not tell you. Look at Tafo. This is the game he said he's like number one in the world at. This is what he does with his life. You believe that, guys? This is Tafel right here in his prime form. Yeah. Why you stopped doing articles on Latin American scene? I can't answer that question, but I know like Annabelle. I think Annabelle wrote them or did Pabs? I can't remember. Um, wrote articles about the scene back in the day on MIOM. So if those guys ever want to do it, I mean, plenty of people will help put it up on some major outlet, but they just haven't done it yet. Flora, as a player, how good do you have to be sustainable living? Probably around top sustainable, like on bare bones, like around top 30, 40 level, depending on region you're in and how good of a sponsorship deal you got. And then like to be living well, like as in not super bare bones, like top 15. Um, and then like the top five make a genuinely a lot of money. They make genuinely a good amount of money, and I mean that including like sure not like Dota League money, but like compared to esports of our comparable size, they do very well. So yeah, our top five do great considering how little they have to work. Is there a lack of professionalization in melee outside of the top 20 or so players? Even then, do a lot of players with sponsors make a living wage off of it? So the player, like I think I just broke it down right there. So that the answer stays. You're correct about the professionalization outside of the top 20 being really bad, and the reason for that is because we're like tennis. We have the same problem tennis does. So they're a far more developed community and far more developed sport than we are. But yet, if you look at tennis, and I brought this up on the show before, Federer and Nadal and Djokovic and all their top play, their tippy top guys make an extraordinary amount of money. Like Murray, Monrica, all those guys make insane money, right? Like I think Federer makes like 70 mil a year. He does great. He does great. Um, but then you start going down the list and you start getting to like number 30, number 40, number 50, number 100, and they start doing a lot worse. like number 100 actually like can't pay for like his own travel. Like they're like they do really bad. And that's crazy considering how developed that scene is. But the truth is that in a 1v1 game, um, and with a structure such that tennis has, where like all the focus goes on those top guys, and they get paid at higher and higher wages and higher like there's a competition around them. They get the prize purses obviously because they're winning. They get all the major sponsorships and endorsements. Like all of that money. When money enters the scene, it pretty much goes to them. And so we have a very similar structural problem to that, in that our money tends to funnel up. So when money enters Smash, it goes to Mango, and it goes to Hungry Bucks, and it goes to Zero, and it goes to Armada, and whatever. In general, right? It doesn't really just like do go to Rudolph. It doesn't get to Rudolph. Rudolph just doesn't get paid. Yeah, it's indicative of the way we're structured. I think there are some very unique ways to solve it. I've thought about it a lot, but it is a problem, and I think that like the fact that tennis still has this problem goes to show how hard it can be to fix. Blur, how do tournament streams increase the amount of interesting content during the early parts of their tournament? They don't show pools. I think more crew battle and salty sweet, whatever day ones need to become a norm. I would love if there was some structured way for us to make sure that day one content is solid every time. I think the fact and the culture that day one doesn't matter is really corrosive to producing a great broadcast. I think every time you're live during your event is just as important as any other time realistically. Like I think top eight is just as important as day one, and we need to start treating it that way. I think that's how all professional broadcasts treat it. The NBA doesn't just say, "Hey guys, it's you know Friday at 11 a.m. We're not going to make a good broadcast. We don't really care about our content today." They make sure it's all good, and we need to make sure of it too. We can't have all these top players in the room and all of these good commentators and all that stuff. And the best we can do is produce like 2 hours, 3 hours of top eight, and like maybe 3 or 4 hours of top 64, and like double stuff. Like that totals at like what, like 8 hours of good content. It's not good enough. That's not enough content. Um, not in the world we live in, not in the esports world, right? That's like one Dota best of three or best of five, one Dota best of five. And so they're going to outpace us based on broadcast hours. And naturally, um, I think that's difficult. Um, Blur, Hotbit of Smash Summit said that a lot of tournaments don't provide internet content for the majority of broadcasts, something that Summit is good at delivering. What can tournaments do to have more attractive broadcasts to get more views that is different from standard pools to top 32 to top 8? So I think I just kind of went segued from that. So I wanted to answer this one. So yeah, I'd really love to live in a world where day three is super standardized. We'd have two top eights for singles, Smash Four Melee, and then two top fours for doubles, Smash Four Melee. It go top four, top eight, top four, top eight. You know, with each game separated, each game having half a day. Um, and that's like the core product of day three. Day two, I think it's fine to do top 64 and really stretch it out. Make sure you stretch it out and have like a full day for top 64, top 128, because I think that content is really compelling as it is, and it's a good standalone content. It's good to have. Um, and you know, you do also like your top 16 and top four doubles content in there. And day one, I think it has to be unique cruise content and exhibition content, relative, related to that event and related to the personalities that are, you're trying to exhibit at the time. Now we have to make it so that we know how to build that content. That day one problem is something we've continually struggled with, but I think that's what we have to do. I think that's literally how you should build your content schedules, if you can. And if you can't, you should build a structure such that you can blaze through pools as fast as possible. Maybe even run round one or round two pools immediately after, while round one pools is still running, so that you run as little of round one as possible. That way, you can build analysis segments and content pieces right before you get to the good stuff. So there's ways around it. But I really, really don't think you should ever put poor content on stream and on stage. It disrespects the stage, and it sets a bad standard, a bad bar, for your content. Like it's not good. Let me see another question. Blur, how do you get crew battles and salty suites when the only players that will sell a crew battle or salty suite are too busy caring about trying to win the tournament? Same way you do anything in esports. You pay them. Players go where the money is. If there's money in crew battles, if there's money in salty suites, if there's money in this sort of stuff, they'll do it. The players go where the money is. This is the maxim of esports. So we just have to figure out a way to make it monetizable. That's all. So same way as you do anything else. You know, we make singles work because we monetize it. We can monetize other stuff too. Blur, have you looked into the professional circuit of other 1v1 sports like badminton, table tennis, or squash for how a melee circuit league would look like? Yes, except for squash. I've looked at the other stuff. Those other ones are rare. Yeah, I've looked at pretty much everything. Literally, like from snooker to cricket to lacrosse to like chess, every sort of game I've pretty much looked into just to see what their ideas are, see if I can steal any ideas. Bass fishing is an interesting format. Well, they're two different leagues, so it's something I really care about. It's my job. So the shoes better when there weren't 50 majors a year. There aren't 50 majors a year. There aren't. I mean, I know there are people who call them who would like to think they are, but there aren't. There's like 3 super majors, and there's like 8 or 9, probably 9, like major events, and then there's a whole bunch of pretenders who really care about growing, which is a good thing. Blur, if you could clone yourself and could task your clone to focus 100% on KOC 5 with monetary support from Nintendo and Twitch, would it be the sickest tournament of all time or what? Yes, it would. I think if I hosted a tournament with all my effort, with what I know and the resources I have, it would obviously be the sickest tournament of all time. And I don't say that with any ego. It's just I have more connections and more resources and more experience than everyone by like a lot. So I think it would just be sick. So yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think it's only one tournament, so I don't think I should spend my time doing that. I think there's better uses of my time. Lower squash is fun. Not sure how the scoring system would work with melee. Point a rally to 11. Okay, I literally don't know anything about squash, so I can't tell you. Blur, I always looked forward to seeing teams finish on Friday or Saturday as a viewer. Swifter, you're alone in that. Means something meaningful is being played on both days. On those days, pushing it right before singles on Sunday takes away from its stage instead of adding an IMO. It's basically like, oh, cool, they won doubles. Yeah, but numbers don't agree with you, Swifter. I know where you're coming from. Numbers don't agree with you. Literally, the math doesn't agree with you. If what you're saying was true, then you would think that, like, so for example, not this Genesis because doubles got completely screwed with all the scheduling mishaps. But the Genesis before, doubles peaked at 88K, right? Blur was commentating, everyone was into it. Doubles peaked at 88K. Singles peaked at like 106. Doubles peaked at higher than Wii U because of that Sunday slot. That's amazing. That's really good for Smash. I don't just mean it's really good for doubles. I mean that's really good for Smash and really good for Melee as well. When doubles peaks at 88K, what does that mean? That means there's 2 hours. We're at like 70 plus K for Melee content that we otherwise wouldn't have, right? Because we would otherwise not have that premium content. Now, if doubles was on Saturday, I guarantee you doubles wouldn't peak at like that high. It would be at like 20 or 30K, right? It just wouldn't be that high. So ultimately, like you gotta have something as your guiding star, and if viewership is one of them, you gotta put doubles on Sunday. Bottom line, it's the second highest performing event. It does better than Wii U singles. It does better than Wii U doubles, and it does better than obviously 64, Realms of Aether, or anything else you got your event. If you put doubles on Sunday, it will be your second highest peak, guaranteed, every time. So you put it on Sunday. Genesis 5 doubles literally had 2 sets of played off stream because the schedule was too packed. Yeah, that's because they made a horrible schedule. And because they started late and all that stuff. They should have done Smash 64 top 4. I told them to. Whatever. Um, anyway, and they started late. There's a lot of reasons. That has nothing to do with should it be on Sunday. That's come on now. And what else is next? Doesn't that go back to people not producing quality enough content on other days? Um, yeah, but I also think that top 64 singles is really quality. I think that's super, super quality stuff. I think that is not like something that is weak to have on Saturday. And I think when you put doubles on Friday, you harm the tournament in many ways, right? Like, first of all, a lot of people won't show up on Friday because they'll show up for singles on Saturday. So you'll lose doubles momentum and hype. Second of all, you're not ramping correctly, right? Like, you want to ramp to your better content as time goes on. And theoretically, doubles is your second best piece of content. So it should be closer to the end, right? So I'm not saying that, like, the content should be evenly spread out. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying the content should be good at all times, good at all times, and it should ramp up because that's how good Twitch content generally works. You know, like, you have to always respect the content and produce it well and make sure it's worthy of the stage. But that doesn't mean like you have finals at all times. You're not doing top 8 for fucking 40 straight hours. You're not going to do that. That's impossible. We can't do that. But what it does mean is that you're going to make sure it's good content, it's watchable content, it's content that your core base will care about, aka not random pools. And you want to make sure it ramps up and gets better as time goes on. Gravy Train TTK says it's singles top 8, singles top 64, doubles top 8 in terms of significance. It's not true. Once again, not true. Doubles top 8 will outperform, doubles top 4 will outperform singles top 64 for Melee as well. Yeah, so no. There's like so many examples I could point to that, but it's true. I don't know if as much anymore. I think doubles momentum has died down a bit. Blur's not commentating anymore, so you know, no one cares. We got some jokers on the mic, so is what it is. Wait, so if you don't want singles top 64 on Sunday, you don't want doubles top 8 on Sunday, what do you want on Sunday? I just told you. I want top 4, top 8, top 4, top 8. I think maybe you're not talking to me, Max. Curly W might not be talking. Why do Smash streamers have so many subs? Because Smashers love Smash. It's just how it is. We have low viewership but high subs. I saw Armada with my boy. Armada was at 70 viewers earlier today. Oh, geez. Greatest of all time. But he's got a ton of subs. He's got like 1,600 subs. Or what has he got? 1,300? Whatever. Point of those nuts. Is teams going into singles on Sunday good for the players? Seems like it affect their mentality going into singles. Yeah, it's great for them. Like, I hate when people put this argument up. I'm not trying to point you out, Joey Love. But if doubles ends, what's more fatiguing? Doubles ending on Saturday, like Saturday or Friday or whatever, or any other point in time where they've finished playing a 10-hour day, or doubles being played, you know, and they play a few matches on Sunday, which is like their lightest day. I know they have top 8 matches, which are stressful and are the hardest and most engaging part, but overall, you're spreading out the difficulty. Like, top 64 is really hard for them too. And if you're going to do top 4 doubles and top 64 singles back to back after 10 hours of a full day, like, that's more stressful. And I think players have said it to me many times. Like, it uniformly said. Then, oh, we have to play top 8 for like 2-3 hours. If you win, you play 3 hours. Most people don't. Kevin and Zach aren't in top 8 over half the time, for example. Right? Android's not in top 8 for singles. Sure, Armada has to play a lot if he makes it that far in singles, like as far if he makes it to the end. But for Armada, think about it. Would you rather play doubles after playing for 10, 12 hours on Saturday? Or would you rather play it before playing singles? Helps them at least get some competitive matches in. and then plays sets of singles for a couple hours, or for an hour or two, whatever he has to do, however far he makes it. Anyway, it's a commentator's curse without Tafo. It's interesting, isn't it? Laura, do you think there is an opportunity for mailers to stream in the mailing section while competing to make a modest living? Yeah, they already do that. That's what they do. Yes, when doubles ends on Friday or Saturday, it does significantly worse, and that's not something you should promote. You should be if you're trying to grow Smash, you're trying to grow the overall viewership over the whole event, and Double Sunday is optimal for that, guaranteed every time. Not just for the doubles format, but for the whole event. Anyway, let's go to another topic. We've been talking about this for a long time. This is getting grating. Something else. Something else. Something else. Yeah, people like keep in mind that the other option is you go top 64 to top 8 on Sunday like Big House does, and that's way more exhausting. You would strongly prefer the option I'm proposing. What level do you think players have to be to make a realistic living streaming competing to be realistic? Um, top 40 is to do bare bones, and then top 5 make a lot of money. Top 15, 20 do all right. What's up, Brandon? This is kind of it. It's like commentator's curse with solo blur. Tafo can't seem to get his stuff working, so I'm just doing it. Tafo kind of gave up and started playing Puzzle Fighter. That's where we're at right now. So everyone just is kind of talking to me. Laura, what's my tier list? Marth and F everyone else. No, it's like Marth Fox top like is the SS tier. Um, after that, it gets really tough. It's probably at the moment, in my opinion, Falco, Puff, I guess Sheik, um, Pikachu, um, Ices, no Falcon Ices, um, Samus, something like that, something like that. TAS has a horrible tier list. Not news to anyone. He says Smash was like Smash, but when Left Switch DBFC got so many subs, contradicting your point. No, um, when Left Switch DBZ, he like quadrupled. No, he more than like 7x his viewership. He's getting a lot of subs because he's getting a whole bunch of unique viewers he never had before. New people are watching him that didn't watch him before, and they are now subbing to him. He had a pretty high sub count considering he was getting like 300 viewers when he was doing Melee. I think his sub count was quite good before, and now it's even better because he's getting way higher than that. He's getting like 2-3K now. Are there any guys on growing a local scene? Look at old Smash Sports posters. Tons of them. Tons of them. Tons of them. I don't know if I can recommend any of them anymore. If I'm being honest. Smash G tries to go blog. It's kind of bad. Uh, there's other stuff. There's this show. You can watch a bunch of episodes. We try. If you have any direct questions, I can help you. At least try to answer right now. Or I think Peach sucks. No, I just forgot Peach. She's in there somewhere. She's in the list somewhere. Yeah, she's definitely there. Geez, can you guys talk about something else in the freaking scheduling? There's more bigger fish to fry. Come on, we got other stuff. Let's talk about something else. Or should I stream on Twitch or YouTube? I'm contractually obligated to tell you Twitch, but also just do Twitch. No, Smash is not on YouTube at all. Like, you just wouldn't get any viewers. Um, he left and stream for 10 hours today. Good for him, man. Getting those viewers. When he goes back and streams some Melee, he's going to get some crossover repeats for us. So, good for him, man. That helps. 3 hours your day. Was your Valentine's Day great? Yeah, it was fucking great, man. I actually had a great time. Do you think it's possible for someone outside of the top 100 to have a successful Melee stream? Look at Ox 19. Yeah, it's totally possible. Look at Tafo. He's doing all right now. Totally, like, absolutely. Absolutely doable. Literally, there are examples. Fleur, would you rather talk about Melee scheduling Bayonetta, actually? Mostly on, like, a societal basis. Like, wow. Tafo was really hype about it, winning that match. Have you played Hearthstone lately? What do you think of the meta? Yeah, obviously I have. Overall, like, I've come to the conclusion that I think I like watching Hearthstone more than I like playing it. Like, you watch Hearthstone, you can, like, fast forward. You can like, like, YouTube videos get edited. There's a streamer that's talking to you. It's more entertaining. When you play yourself, it's like a lonely experience. It's just like you put music in the background and you wait. And it's boring. And often you know your next move. You're like, I'm going to play my 4-drop. Like, I don't know. I do play still, and I mostly play it on my phone and mobile as I go around, but, like, it takes some. Just there's so much dead time, in Hearthstone. So in general, I feel like I enjoy watching it more than I like playing it. If I'm being real honest. Amnesiac, I do live to see you and play in tournament. That's the good stuff, man. That's the good stuff. My man got signed by Temple Storm. He's living out here. He's living out here. This is a crazy stream. We're doing all right. All right, give me more questions, guys. You guys got to have more questions. There's got to be more here. Tavil's getting rocked right now. No, he's not actually. He's actually winning. I take it all back. He's rocking this guy. Or if we added a stage to the rule set, we're never going to add another stage to the rule set, and we're not going to remove one either. I'm going to be honest with you, man. We're stuck with these 6 stages where you're going to see Melee forever. That's my honest belief. So I'm just going to be honest with you, Giuseppe. This is what we got. There's like a 5% chance Stadium gets removed one day. That's 5%. That's all we got. I think the rest is really static. I think people like what they got. Yeah, I'm chill with it too. I think the stages are fine. I honestly do. I think, like, rock transformation in teams can be really annoying when people are scuffling in rock transformation. That's dumb sometimes. That's all real, that's about it. Yeah. Or would licensed music streaming ever become a thing? Like turning background music off and having production play some custom music during the broadcast? Huh. You can do that. I mean, I don't think people would want that. I'm going to be honest with you, Mosh Jarkus. I think people wouldn't want that. I think you'd put on music that would, like, they'd be like, I don't want to hear Soldier Boy right now, homie, or whatever you put on. I don't know. I think many people would just not be about it. I'm being super serious about it. I think like going with the Smash stuff is super safe, and people do that for that reason. What do you think about making little Twitch ads with tournament trailers so people that haven't been exposed get a chance Watching it for the first time, I feel like many people don't even know it exists. I think there are people who are already on Twitch who are good target audience for this through ads. You're talking about house ads. I agree. Yeah, it's a good idea. I've had it many times. It's a good idea, sister. You're on top of it. You're on top of it. Could do marketing. House ads are good. Oh, I'm a robot. Am I better now, guys? I called myself in, and I think you pressed the button to get me in. See a BTS. How much of being top 40 is about natural talent, and how much is about hard work and developing the skill? Um, it's top 40. It's pretty much. I do think natural talent is a thing to play in. Like, I'm being honest. Like, if you're just straight dumb, you're gonna have a hard time. And this is like life, capitalism, and society, and meritocracies aren't very kind to the unintelligent. So you're gonna have a hard time with that. But if you're not, and you have time, and you know you don't approach it with miserable mentality, then you could be all right. Tough got body. What did I answer about Twitch ads? Yeah, house ads are a good idea. Swifter, solid idea. I've had it before, but solid idea. You're thinking ahead. I like that. People should market their events in more and more unique ways. You got anything else? You guys are going dry. I can tell. I can tell they're going dry. Tafa, what do you think? Tafa? Why do I like Big Sean's? Because blessings on blessings on blessings. Tafa, they're going dry, right? Is our July going to be a dead month without Evo? No, a lot of vultures are trying to snatch up July right now. How did I use my melee experience to get a job at Twitch? I got lucky, and Bobby Scar vouched for me. Also, apparently, I gave a godlike interview. According to the people who interviewed me, it was the highest rated interview ever on Twitch. They have a little scoring system. I've interviewed people a bunch too for positions, and I got a perfect score. That doesn't happen very often. So apparently, I did really well in the interview. I don't know what I really did to do that, but all the interviewers gave me the highest rating. So yeah, being commentator helps sometimes. I guess I was well spoken or something like that. It sounded like I knew what I was talking about. So they're like, you know what, this guy, let's get him. It's the only interview I've ever done in my life. I've never done another interview. Every other job I've gotten, I just got it through like knowing people, being recruited. I've only had 2 jobs, but 2 major jobs. Yeah, I went to UVA. I went to college. It's computer science. Some no-name tournament could literally be the spring major, but wants to be a shitty summer regional instead. Correct, Swifter. Someone could just take over February, for example, but instead, they don't, because they're idiots. Aspiring TOs, if you're listening, there are dead months. Take them over. Don't be right next to Evo. Don't be right next to SmashCon. Don't be right next to Shine. Don't be right next to Gommel. Don't don't do that. Maybe just don't do that. Maybe try to take over the month that had nothing. What? Like, you know what I'm saying? Khalil says, I'm trying, Blur. I'm trying. Khalil, you would have had literal, like, you have like a quarter of the top 100 at your freaking event because you're in February. And I'm going to be honest with you, Khalil. Your event doesn't deserve that. It does not deserve what it got. It only got that because you picked February. And you're a lucky bastard for that. No, you're smart, entrepreneurial, intelligent bastard, excuse me, for that. So good job. Good job. Blur, who will be the Blur Smash 4? Blur is the answer. I'm that's I run that scene too, is the honest truth, but I just don't really vocalize it very much because I don't see the point. I'm, if I'm being super honest, I'm not very passionate about the game. It's not like I like it very much, but those kids need help. It's not that I don't like it very much. I think it's cool. It's fine. It's just I obviously love Melee more. If I'm just I keep it 100, but yeah. So it is what it is. Blur, what's the motive for keeping the calendar secret? Why isn't it public? I've heard you say before that didn't work being public. Can you elaborate on that? Yeah, sure. So I've answered this before, but I just want to say it again so people understand. For the people who don't know. So the global calendar, which I manage, has been going around for like a little over 5 years. So it's a system we've had for a while. Um, so anyone who tells you like it's a system that's like, oh, it's literally like a thing we've done different systems for a while, and I think it's been one of the best things we've ever done. It's been one of my greater contributions to the scene. Um, I think the 525 system was also really good. I think we just have bad PR on it. I think overall a lot of good's been done on it. Again, sometimes bad PR. Sometimes I don't really pay attention to that part, but overall, I think it's turned into a very solid quality system that tries to solve a very hard problem. And most of the things that people complain about are often innate to the control and powers that we have, and not anything else. So okay. So why isn't it public? Well, let me answer that question. So the reason for that is we tried and it doesn't work. And also, we've also tried to open it up to more people, and that also doesn't work. It often results in more errors. For example, my good friend Taffkins, who's on the show and I trust my life, used to have access. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even have access. Literally, fucking Taffkins doesn't have access. How does that make sense, right? Like what? Taffo? How's that possible, right? Like, Juggle Guy doesn't have access. Juggle Guy, right? Like what? Preeminent leaders don't have access. So it's like how, like now you're like, whoa, how's that even possible? Okay, so let me break it down. So the reason why the calendar works and the reason why it has been so good at staving off conflict, when there are so many events that are seeking to not have conflict. And I know, okay, people are gonna be like, oh, but what about this, that conflict? And like, here are notable cases of conflicts. Trust me, if you were actually paying attention to it and know how many times conflicts have been saved, you'd know that it does its job very well, right? The truth is that when some conflicts happen, like let's for example, the two big conflicts of this year, right? There's DreamHack and Smash and Splash, which I don't think any system could have prevented. You can't change DreamHack states. Like literally, it's impossible. Like again, this comes down to limitations that Smash Brothers have. We do not have enough sway and power to change DreamHack states. It's not something we are capable of. And Smash and Splash reserved their venue before DreamHack knew their own dates. So what are you supposed to do about that? Like literally, if it was public or unpublic, it wouldn't have made a difference. If Smash and Splash publicly put their dates out, and they did, DreamHack would have still put their date over them because they're not thinking about Smash when making their dates. Like, bottom line, no system prevents that. Public on public, no system prevents that. So there's that one. And there's the ESA one, which is just incompetence by ESA. That's just bottom line. They changed their date literally hours before announcing their date. Like, they put the wrong date was put on the trailer that they put out on Frostbite because they gave them they changed their date that last minute, right? Like, and they did it without like informing people, right? Like, and so they eventually reeled back and they went midway only. We worked a lot to make that happen, but truth is, like, that stuff is like really isolated. Like, who decides their date literally hours before announcing the event? Like, it's not really a thing that happens. Like, it's not a contingency you plan for, and we end up making the best case solution for it anyway. I think for Full Bloom getting a pop one and looking a little bit of support, it's a good thing. And for the most part, it's a melee event. It'd be nice if Smash 4 didn't get stepped over a little bit there, but you know, you do what you can. But look how many events there are, right? Like, look how many events there are. Look how many conflicts there should be. Look how many conflicts there should be, right? I can give one notable example, and people talk about like, okay, BAM and Gommel right now, right? I saw that in the chat earlier. You know what that event that weekend was supposed to have? You know what that weekend was supposed to have? I'm gonna be serious with you guys. This is what that weekend was supposed to have, and Aiden can back me up, and there's a lot of other people can back me up. That event, before the calendar intervened, was supposed to have 6 major events. 6, and these aren't like small ones. I'm not talking about one. Like, there were 6 events that wanted that same weekend, and were planning it independently. 6. 4 of them got moved. And yes, there ended up being BAM and GOM on the same weekend. 2 events that are literally on different continents and on different time zones. But I think when you start at 6 and you get it down to those 2 conflicting, you're doing a pretty good job. Like, that's the truth. And the truth is that, again, we don't have the power to go in there and unplug their systems. All we have is societal pressure and like hand slapping. We're like, don't do that. Please don't take that date. And actually, 99% of the time, they actually listen to me. I don't know why. You can call clout, you can call whatever, but they actually pretty much always listen to me. When they don't, it's unfortunate, right? It's unfortunate. Sometimes that happens too, right? And sometimes that happens too, and I get blamed for it, but whatever. But for the most part, that's how it goes, right? And you look at how many events are there, right? And we live in a scene where somehow small regionals feel like they're owed a weekend. Like, I gotta be real with you. I've had events who are like, whoa, that's our weekend. I'm like, dog, you're a regional in Wisconsin. Your last event got 60 entrants. You're telling me the tournament in Mexico can't happen that weekend? Like, what? Like, seriously, I this is stuff I get all the time. So some people need to roll it back on that front. So, okay, I never really answered your question. Why isn't it public? So, first of all, it's not public because events are unannounced, right? So people wouldn't tell the calendar holders about their event because the calendar is public, right? If if with a public calendar, you don't tell the people making the calendar about your event because you don't want to announce your event, right? So naturally, the calendar has to be private. If you're trying to make an event happen, you won't tell the people who run the calendar about the event because they're going to post about it publicly. So that just doesn't work, right? That's simply on that level does not work. The people who are trying to run their events and make their announcement exciting and make their planning exciting, and especially when they're doing something tentatively, they don't want to converse with someone who is talking to a lot of people. Very specifically, they want to talk to someone who is not talking to a lot of people and makes it very clear to everyone that the information that's exchanged goes to one person or 2 people, and that's it, right? When you talk, it's like a one-way street. That's it. Information doesn't get shared. That helps you get information, right? And the whole reason the system works is the control of information. Information is what makes it work, right? The reason why it works is because when someone says, hey, I want April 7th, right? And I tell them you can't have April 7th. They go, why? I go, you can't have April 7th. And maybe I tell them something or be like, hey, this TO really wants it or whatever. We work together. But for the most part, I tell them they can't have April 7th. They're like, wow, that could be like Summit for all I know. That could be like a major event for all I know. If Blur tells me I can't have April 7th, I can't have April 7th, right? That lack of information is what makes this thing run. When if that same TO had access to the calendar and saw that April 7th was a freaking like regional in Indiana or some other event, which I consider a conflict, but they may not, or they feel like, hey, I will beat that event out competitively, taking that weekend, um, then they will host over that tournament, guaranteed every time, literally every time. They want to look at their second option, they will do that, right? And so that's what that information barrier prevents, right? It's you give them access and they will take the weekend, guaranteed every. And this there's proven scenarios with this, right? Um, and I can give you so many examples that I don't want to give because the truth is that the I've unfortunately through the years, there's like 5 years of data on this. The people when you give especially TOs access to a calendar and even production people access to a calendar, they will misuse it to get a leg up over their competition, right? Instead of looking at, hey, what is best for the scene, they go, what is best for my event? Because that is their job. They run the event. They're a TO, right? And they're saying, okay, well, this event doesn't seem like a conflict to me. This event looks like an event we can run over. Hey, this event looks like something that we're just going to destroy. This is not a competition to me. So I'm going to take this weekend because I think this weekend is better for me. So, right. So ultimately, the whole system, the whole thing only works because of a lack of information. And the only reason people give the information is because they lack it, right? Because they don't know. When they know. So imagine a scenario. Imagine TOA has access to a calendar and TOB has access to the calendar, right? Both of them look at the calendar and see April 7th is open. Like, oh, April 7th, open weekend. Let me start looking into my venues and start blasting off some emails and let me see if I can host something on April 7th, right? They both do this independently. Neither of them talk to me, the calendar holder, right? They both do this independently. Why don't they talk to me while they're doing this exploratory stuff? Because it's still tentative, it's still exploratory. They just want to look into it and they don't know if they're going to do it or not, right? And so they both do it independently. They both go forward with their plans. They still have no reason to talk to me. At this point, they're more into their plans. They're figuring it out. They're working on their stuff, and they still don't have any reason to talk to me because the calendar says April 7th is open. Both guys think that April 7th is open as far as they're concerned. And then what happens? They book their venue and then say, hey man, April 7th, lock it in. That's me. And another guy mentions me like April 7th, that's me. And then what do we have? We have a conflict on our hands. This has happened before. This is a problem that has happened before. Please understand that is not preventable when you have a calendar where multiple people can see it. When they can both see it, they will both take the weekend and they will not coordinate. When neither can see it, right? When neither knows if April 7th is open, when did they talk to the Blur? They talked to me on step A, like before even asking the venue, before even exploring it. They're like, hey man, I'd really like to host an April event. Tell me what's open. And I go, oh, check out April 7th. And then I know every potential. I know all the potentialities. There's so many canceled events I know about that never happen, but it's still important for me to know about so I can help prevent conflict. That's the point of this. Anyway, I know I've given this speech many times, but yeah. So that is why that works the way it does. And yes, I think it is a system that is especially working right now, is doing its best. Please understand that a lot of TOs want to um, host tournaments and reserve weekends for their own. It's a very hard thing to balance, and we go pretty far down the tier tree to make sure they're protected. Like literally, we're going out there and trying to make sure regionals aren't conflicting. Like it's pretty nuts, but we're doing it. And Aiden's helping a lot, and I think he's helped us here. You know, we're doing it as a two-man system this year. It's me and Aiden. Usually, it's last year I tried to make a bigger team. It really backfired. There were some conflicts that were made because that bigger team was incompetent. It's gonna be real. They made some mistakes. Um, and so we shortened it down to a 2-man team and just tried to like really focus and make it good. And then in years past, we had even bigger teams than that, and other year like we've tried. Overall, information is the key, man. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. Any other questions? Taffel's still not. Taffel, you want to go? You want to cut it off? Is that what you're saying? What's going on with Taffel? Tafel's saying bye, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going on too long. All right. Okay, fam. I'm cutting it short. Literally, the Blur and Blur show with a little Taffel side show at the beginning. I don't know what the hell happened to his mic, but we're gonna peace out. Love y'all, and nice chat. See you guys.